Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
Booyah. Hey, here we are. It's a casual Wednesday. I mean, it's always a casual day. Tyvis and I are in shorts. I got the much sexier legs, but we'll talk about that another time.
You don't even have one battle scar on your leg.
I don't have a battle. What are you talking about? I had Achilles tear, dude.
I can see
Can't
it.
see
I
it.
can see
I
a
can
little
see it.
bit.
It's like a
of
little
it,
fish hook.
I tore my Achilles.
Look.
Well, what is that?
That's
on your
a
knee?
dent from the
That's
couch.
yeah.
Don't do that.
That's
That
nothing.
look like an ACL scar. No,
Yeah,
Bull's
no.
just leaning on his leg.
Never had anything. Never had any knee injury. It's already been a feisty day.
You want to ask your question?
Yeah, I ask you. I ask you.
Go ahead, ask it. You
You
wanna
want me to
ask
ask the chat? Okay, let
Yeah,
me.
go ahead. Yeah. Well, first of all, this whole thing started because the debate we were talking about with Deshaun Watson yesterday. We continued a little before
They're
the show.
still going, you guys.
No,
They're still going.
Anyway, we're going to move on from that because I think it was a great conversation yesterday, but we'll move on from that. But then Tyvis hit us with this question.
So the question is this. If you had, say you were dating, this could be for male or female, but really I'm talking to the males. If you were out dating, right, and you meet a woman, or women, you meet a guy.
Yeah.
And, before them, they had about 3 partners that they were intimate with.
Body count.
So body count of 3 is
Yeah.
what we'll call it. And then they decide to meet
This
you.
is what happens before the show,
Yeah.
guys.
They meet you, and then they ultimately make the decision that, hey, I'm gonna be celibate with you.
Yeah.
Are you hearing that? That's
No.
the question. That's the
No,
question.
but no man
Are you going
is,
for that?
a woman might listen to that because women, don't think with their genitals like men do. No man is putting up with that nonsense. This all started kind of because somebody, I won't say who it was, said that if Deshaun Watson had been celibate, none of this would have happened. It wouldn't have been a problem. And I was like, what kind of lunatic is celibate?
And what do you care if somebody wants to make that decision?
You should practice abstinence.
No,
It
that's
has
ridiculous.
no impact on your life
No,
whatsoever.
nobody should practice abstinence.
You should practice that.
Anybody, I guarantee, I would bet everything I had that people that don't live together or have sex before they're married have the worst marriages. They're miserable.
That's not true. It's not about.
It is true.
Everything is not about sex. It's about love.
Yeah, love. Sex is part of love.
It's about-
And another thing, you don't know your true chemistry with a person until you live with them. And
That's a
sleep with them.
fact.
That's true.
But you don't have to have. You don't mean you have to have sex.
Yes, you do. You got to know if you're sexually compatible with somebody. Are you kidding me?
I wonder. It's like a study that came out that said I think it said 12% of men that's 30 and under are celibate or abstinent or virgins.
All right, enough with the losers in the world. Let's move to the winners. The winners are the Cleveland Guardians, kind of. No, not really.
No,
They got no
not-
hits.
not at all.
We'll talk about they're a winner in the Josh Bell trade somehow. But
What if he doesn't pick up his option next year? They just ate all
Then
that
they got
money.
screwed.
And they just ate all
then
that
they got
money.
screwed. But that's not going to happen, is it? Unlikely.
I would say, yeah.
I guess they felt pretty confident he was going to pick it up.
Right.
All right, but before we get to the trade, the Guardians no hit last night. In fact, we'll get to it in just a second. Go ahead, Earl. You got to hit us with something first.
Yeah, good morning to everybody at the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. A couple things that we need to talk about today. First things first, on tonight, actually, Channel 3 is going to be doing a 1-hour special called Road to Canton from 7 to 8 p.m. live from Canton, and Jim Donovan will be hosting it. They're going to be talking about the career of Joe Thomas. It's going to be interviews with Joe Thomas, his wife Annie, his high school football coach, and even former teammates. And they'll also have a sit-down with Kevin Stefanski to talk about the Hall of Fame game and the Cleveland Browns training camp. Also today, as a thank you to the members that helped us get to 25,000 subscribers, we're going to give you overtime today for free. And overtime will be our 32 and 32, number 26, Anthony Walker. So that's all the business that we got on that front. Bull, go
Very
crazy.
No, I'm not going to go crazy. I mean, it's embarrassing. They've been no-hit, I think, 5 times now in the last 3 years. Was it 5 or 4?
That's a shame.
I think it is 5.
I think it's 5, which is remarkable. That's
How do you let that happen and then not address it by? I guess
One
they
base
tried
runner.
to address
They
it.
had, of all, if you would have guessed the one base runner, you wouldn't have guessed Oscar Gonzalez walk as the other base runner. And then he got erased on a double play, so they faced him. How about, like, you're trying to end the no-hitter, and your last 2 batters are Miles Straw and Cam Gallagher.
I tweeted last night. I wonder if Tito thought about pinch hitting Miles Straw
Oh, my
tonight.
God. I wish Zach Meisel would have asked him that question again. That would have been the best. But just a pathetic performance. And I'll ask you this, Jason, as someone who's been in the locker room with the Guardians, and I'll ask you, Tyvis, as someone who's been in locker rooms, not with the Guardians, but football. Do you think part of the reason they were so pathetic yesterday is they were demoralized about what happened with the trade deadline?
Yes. Yeah, I do. And it's not. I understand why they made the moves that they made. I was all for the Rosario move. They got nothing for him.
Yeah.
But you have to clear that spot. I was fine with Savali because you sold at the very peak of his value. You were never going to get more than what you got for him. And Bell, you're just trying to move on from the contract.
Yeah.
From a player's perspective, you lost one of the clubhouse leaders in Rosario,
Correct.
your best pitcher in Savali, and a big thumper allegedly in Josh Bell, and you got
For a
nothing.
team that was very much as we understand it's only because their division sucks,
Right.
But they were very much in contention for their division.
and you got nothing for these guys. So I understand why.
What you mean? You got middle infielders.
You didn't get any help. You brought
Nobody that's-
nothing in to help your team today, right now.
All the Major League-
So Noah Syndergaard ain't pitched the other day.
But he's a downgrade
He
from
has an
Savali.
ERA over 7.
So on your Major League roster, you went from, and again, we all wanted Bell out of here,
Yes.
but he'd been a little better the last month or so.
No,
He has
Franmil
been.
had to go.
But
Stop it. Don't do
On
that.
your major,
Franmil.
on your
No,
major league
no,
roster,
no.
you went from Bell, Rosario, and Savale to Syndergaard and 2 guys you call up for the minors.
Yeah. So I understand why the clubhouse is upset about it. And they are.
Yeah.
So, I think that they're going to – Chris Antonetti has a lot of work to do in smoothing over the clubhouse because they are still technically in it. And you need these guys to stay engaged. If the hope is that McKenzie and Bieber, Quantrill, some combination of these guys could be back in September, we got to make sure that there's something left to play for by September. So you got to get these guys to hold on to the boat oars here and not just jump overboard.
Tyvis, unlike baseball, there's rarely a trade in season in football that makes a significant difference where the team would be despondent. I don't know if that ever happened when you were playing. That somebody that was did that ever happen? Did somebody get traded?
Not in
during season?
Not during season, but before the season.
Like during training camp?
No, this was during OTAs.
Okay.
When I was with the Browns in 2017, when I
Yeah.
had my little cup of tea with the Browns.
Yeah.
When they traded DeMario Davis for Calvin Pryor.
What a terrible trade.
That was a big hit. It was a big hit
Yeah.
because if you know Double D, which y'all probably don't know him personally, but Double D was like the ultimate leader. He was a
He's been great in
vocal
Orleans.
guy, always tell you exactly how things should go, call
Yeah.
up the team, can speak in front of the team, articulates really well, and gets everybody on the same page, but also knows how to have fun post-practice. So it was just a really good dude. And when they traded him for Calvin Pryor, man, you could tell that things was just different. I mean, you're asking Christian Kirk, who everybody loved Kirko. Kirko was really good here, but he wasn't DeMario Davis, So when they forced him into that leadership, it was a change in that locker room in 2017, and ultimately you seen what the record ended up being what it was. I think Calvin Pryor ended up getting into a fight and got kicked off the team. It was just,
Mess.
it was horrible, but it was, yeah. But baseball is a little bit different because outside of in football, you got 53 plus 10 or whatever it is, 12 on the practice squad, so you're essentially talking 65, 66 guys. Baseball is not that many. And once you let one of those guys go, they are more closer than a football team would be because you interact with these guys. It's
And,
less people.
and you're playing every day in
Right.
baseball,
So when you trade one of your leader, a guy that's supposed to be a great hitter, and all of these people, you look up at the front office like, what the heck are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, are y'all trying to lose? It's like it looked like y'all trying to tank all of a sudden, but there's no point in doing that in baseball.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So, in terms of the no-hitter, it's embarrassing. What are you going to do? Their lineup has been bad all year. It remains bad. They have a lot of moves they have to make. But, Jay started talking about Chris Antonetti's got to find a way to get this team together. I think there's a ton of frustration on this team right now.
Yeah.
Clearly, the way Francona responded to Zach Meisel yesterday or 2 days ago, I was like, whoa. That was a sign of frustration on his part. We're so used to the Guardians doing the right thing and making the smart move.
They never make mistakes, it feels like. They
right.
very
but
rarely
they've
get it
made a
wrong.
lot of mistakes in the last year.
Yeah.
They've made a lot of mistakes, and I think
It's over a year. It goes back to the inability to make a trade, to swing a big
right.
trade.
That's right.
Because you're not in this position if you trade for Matt Olson or if you trade for Sean Murphy. Now,
That's right.
you may not have Gavin Williams here either. So, there's good and bad that comes with that. But their inability to bundle some of these guys to get a deal done has what is the starting point that has trickled down to all of this.
You know what, Jason? You say you wouldn't have Gavin Williams, but right now, if I could have Matt Olson instead of Gavin Williams, I'd be happy to do that.
Well, I mean,
and I know Gavin Williams is going to be a good pitcher, but the Guardians have showed us time and time again that they could develop good pitchers. And they've showed us time and time again they can't develop hitters. And so Matt Olson is, after the elite, he's like top of the, you got the elite tier, and then he's in that next tier at the top of it.
Yeah.
Just below elite, maybe even the bottom of elite. That guy would have to have had him, Naylor, and Ramirez in the middle of the lineup would have made a huge difference. It would have made everybody better. So
and I don't know. Maybe it was a Espino.
I hear you, but the point is, like, eventually you got to give up something to get something.
Well, that's the thing. They always protect their future with the Guardians. Like I said, they're the only team in Cleveland that protects their future. They're always going to get the prospects and always have somebody that's going to develop and become something later on. Problem is, once they become something, they're not going to pay them, and they're going to end up moving on from them. But at some point, it's like, when are y'all going to focus on the now? Like, we get that you always want to be a couple of years ahead, but at some point, you as a player, I'll be like, I need something now.
Right.
Like Jose, like, I just took a deal for you. I need something now.
Yeah, Spencer, if I'm Jose, I'm pissed. I'm like, I saved you a ton of money.
If I'm Terry Francona, how much longer does he have? This could be it.
Yeah.
This could be it for him.
Listen, he's not having a good season. He's frustrated.
Yeah.
There's a lot of now, I will say, on its own, the Josh Bell trade was very smart.
Sure.
Because Josh Bell is not very good. I thought he'd be pretty good for them. I was wrong. He's not been good. Again, he's probably played more at a serviceable level for the last month or so. But he's not a good player. You didn't want him next year. Mm-hmm. You had to take some money back in the Gene Segura contract. They cut him immediately.
Yep.
So next year, I believe you're saving $10 million next year. But here's the thing, Jason. That's fine and dandy for them. Are they going to use that money to get better? That's what I care about. Now, they got a very nice prospect in that deal. But the kid hasn't hit at all in the minors. He's very young. He's 20 years old.
There's a lot of maturity issues.
And there's a long way to go.
Yeah.
Like, if he helps them in 3 years, you'll be happy.
Yeah. Yeah, they're saved $9 million in the deal, according to Zach.
Yeah.
They took on all of Segura's money. Segura had money owed to him next year. That's why I'm saying.
He also has a $2 million buyout.
Five. Yeah. So they're eating a lot of money on this deal, and they already ate $6 million on Zunino. It's like every time they go into free agency, we push them and push them and push them, and it doesn't end well. We go back to Swisher and Bourne. It didn't end well. Edwin was okay, but they moved off the money as quick as they brought it in. And now with this, who am I missing? Did they have any other big free agent signings? I can't think of any. Like
they haven't
big
signed,
dollar.
No.
Not marginal.
Not in recent. No, those are the ones.
So when they go to free agency, it blows up in their face.
Yeah. But, if we're going to give them all this credit for being this great front office, which they have been.
They have been.
Then they got to take a hit. They
Absolutely.
have not done a good job.
And Chris said that yesterday on the call with us after the trade. He made it sound like this came together real quick, right before 6 o'clock. I mean, Bell was acting like he was getting ready to play.
I don't understand why the Marlins made that trade. Because, nobody cares about the Marlins, but they had Garrett Cooper. They ended up spinning him to San Diego.
Yeah.
I don't think Josh Bell's any better than Garrett Cooper.
My first thought was, why would anyone take – they got off Segura's money, so it's not as big of a financial hit. So they're probably looking at it as, $7 million or so.
Right. And they got out of Garrett Cooper's money, too.
And then next year, maybe they can trade him halfway through next year when the money's less.
Who knows? I don't know. That's a weird situation, but
he's their problem now. Now watch him go down there and.
I was about to say he gonna go out there and go crazy.
I thought the winners. I hate to say winners and losers because it's stupid. You never know how these trades pan out. But the Texas Rangers, if you look at what they did, they got
very aggressive.
And the American League's wide open.
Yeah,
wide open. I don't think the Yankees are gonna make the playoffs. By the way,
I don't think so either.
I think Yankees, the Astros, the Rangers, the Orioles, the Rays, and whoever wins the Central, those 5 teams are almost definitely in.
Yeah.
And the last spot comes down to the Blue Jays, the Mariners, the Yankees, and the Angels.
Mariners made
Do
a
you
couple of
remember
moves.
at the beginning of the year that you had the Blue Jays versus the Guardians?
No. Yeah, and I had the Blue Jays beating the Mets in the World Series.
Yeah,
that was
did.
a pretty awful
Yeah,
pick. Now, I think the Blue Jays are probably the best team of the remaining teams.
You definitely
So I
said
think
the Blue Jays.
they'll probably get that last wild card. But I like what the Angels did. Kudos to them for being aggressive. I think we'd all love to see the Angels in the playoffs and see
Yeah.
Ohtani and
Yeah.
Trout.
Absolutely.
Trout should be back before the end of the year. The Mariners, they kind of bought and sold.
Yeah.
It was a weird trade deadline. They traded their closer, then they acquired, but they have another. What's his name?
Yeah, I know who you're talking
A
about.
Latin guy who's he's really good. So
I can find it.
Diego, I can't
not
remember,
Diego.
but I can't think of his name. But the Mariners traded their closer.
You and I are the only ones that care.
Yeah, nobody cares. But the bottom line is,
I care.
the Guardians are like the 9th, 10th best team in the American League.
They're 11th right now by record, I think.
Yeah, and by run
And
differential.
the Twins did nothing.
Nothing.
Like, the Guardians sold, and the Twins did nothing.
Twins did nothing.
And they're the top 2 teams.
Yankees did nothing. The Tigers sold only Lorenzen.
Yeah.
They didn't do much. They got Rodriguez turned down to deal with the Dodgers.
Right.
And
But the Twins are in first place.
I know.
And they
And
did
did
nothing.
nothing.
And
Nothing.
the Guardians are right there.
they didn't
and
make a
they
single
sold.
move. Yeah, they didn't make a single move. It was an interesting trade.
Zach said if no one wants to win the division, then just give it to somebody else.
Yeah.
Make an extra wild card spot for
No,
somebody else. from
that
the
would give
East.
the Yankees a better chance. So I
No.
want to see that happen. But yeah, somebody's going to win this division. The question is, will whoever wins this division be over 500?
Yes.
Yes, they better be.
Yes, they will be.
I don't know.
82 and
know.
80.
I mean, it's 82
and
really
80.
a 2-team race, and I'm going yes.
83 and 79.
Maybe the Tigers will end up winning the division. Who knows?
Yeah, right.
In
Don't
terms
count
of-
them out.
In terms of the Guardians and now where they're at, fan frustration, guys.
Munoz.
Oh, Andres Munoz, right. Yeah. Fan frustration is at a really high level with the Guardians.
Yeah, it should be.
And the thing is, Guardians attendance is up this year.
It is. And that's
Even though
what's
they've been
frustrating.
mediocre.
Yeah.
And attendance is up around baseball. Major League Baseball is on pace for its best attendance in 25 years,
That's
which is
because
great.
they put that pitch clock up.
I think it does.
I
have
think
lots
that
to do with it.
I think that
Speed the
played a
game
huge
up.
Yeah.
the game's averaging 30 less minutes.
If they
has made a
decide,
big difference.
if they come back and say they want to cut 2 innings, it really might go up there. But I don't want them to do that.
No, they won't do that. But I think this was a really smart move. But the Guardians' attendance is up. The crowds have been really good for the last month or so. And now, listen, they didn't trade anybody that was great.
No.
You didn't trade a superstar. The only player that fans are kind of angry about really is Savale because you had him for 2 more years.
Now think about that. In April,
Yeah, right.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's Aaron Savale.
I agree.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
agree. I think he was way overachieving. All the Guardians pitchers that they've traded in recent years have done nothing anywhere else except for Bauer, and that was brief before he started beating the shit out of women.
But-
Allegedly.
So what? Our 4 pitchers is Gavin, Syndergaard, Allen,
Bybee.
By me,
and Bybee.
that's the 4 at the moment. And McKenzie. The thing is,
This is because McKenzie got hurt. If
McKenzie's hurt and
if McKenzie
Bieber's
never
hurt.
got hurt,
obviously.
I think
Quantrill's hurt, Bieber's
if they
Well,
never
Quantrill
got hurt,
sucked too.
He did.
But he was
was
good
bad.
last year. He
He
was
was.
fine.
If McKenzie never got hurt, I think that the Bieber trade probably would have happened.
Well, if Bieber doesn't get hurt, the Bieber trade happens.
But Bieber wasn't pitching. Bieber wasn't. The bottom line is, listen, when you trade for a minor leaguer, you never know how it's going to pan out. Everybody's nervous because it's the Rays and the Jake Bowers thing.
Right.
And honestly, the Guardians, the hype for these prospects, none of them have really panned out yet. None
Fair.
of them.
That's fair.
And again, for most of them, it's too early to make a final judgment.
I think we could say Naylor's panned out. We
Mo?
can say Naylor. Josh.
oh,
but-
Josh, I think
See, I didn't look at him. I'm thinking. I'm more thinking of this more recent crop. When Naylor has panned out, was he a top prospect?
No.
And he'd already been in the big leagues
He
when they got him.
wasn't top. He was. I think he was probably a top.
But they
10.
didn't develop him. I mean, they've helped make him better, but he was already a
was
major
AAA
leaguer when they
he
got
was
him.
AAA major league, right on that.
Yeah, I mean, he had played how many games for the Padres? I don't know how many.
yeah.
But I'm talking this group with Bo Naylor and Freeman
Arias.
and Rocchio and Arias and Valera And we've been hearing about Quan wasn't. We weren't even hearing about Quan and Brennan.
That's a shame.
And again, not enough of a sample size. Let me make that very clear. I think a lot of Bo Naylor. I think he's going to be a good player. Mm-hmm. However, to this point, of all the prospects that have come up in recent years, the guys having the most success are Nolan Jones and Will Benson for Colorado and Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And again, Nolan Jones might suck. It might just be one decent year. And you can't even say Colorado because if you look at his splits, he's been better on the road. So it's frustrating, and fans are aggravated. And the Guardians...
Yandy, don't forget Yandy.
And Yandy, it's a little further back, but yeah, Yandy's an all-star.
A lot of people
Yandy's an all-star.
About that one.
And, so now you trade for this prospect, but this guy's a top prospect, right? A lot of the baseball community thinks this kid's going to be really good.
Yes.
He's going to be the Guardians' first baseman of the future. Naylor's going to be the DH. However, you can't blame fans for saying, I'll see it, I'll believe it when I see it.
If this makes anyone feel better, I was talking to Zach about it the other night, and Zach obviously has been covering baseball forever. He said he talked to someone with the Rays who said, we're going to wind up regretting this one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're already like,
yeah.
But, you're going for it. It's what you just said. The American League's wide open. Savali's pitching well. He's got a lot of control left.
Yeah.
Manzardo's not helping you now. He's hurt. He's in AAA, and you got Yandy Diaz, an all-star.
Yeah, they don't need him.
So, you move him for the cost-controlled pitcher with multiple years of control. But this is one that could blow up on the Rays.
100%. And Manzardo might end up being really good. But until he is, most fans aren't looking at minor league players and paying attention to that like you and I and Zach are.
Right.
So the average Guardians fan, unless you're a super diehard, and even if you are a super diehard, you're like, I'm sick of waiting for prospects.
Right.
Yes.
Right. I'm sick of okay, maybe Manzardo's going to be great. But you've told me this guy was going to be great, and that guy was going to be great, and none of them have been.
We've been telling people for years they have this unbelievable farm.
Right.
Yes.
They have all these people in the playoffs.
You can't be dead last. You can't be as bad power-wise as they are.
But last year is the example I'm talking about. They were lower half.
Right, but they weren't dead last.
They weren't dead last.
No.
But you can win playing Harvey Wallbanger baseball and doubles, gaps, and
but here's the thing.
Speed on the bases. But it's a lot harder in the playoffs.
Yes, I agree with you. You can win the way they won last year, but you got to be almost perfect.
Yeah.
Right? They were great on the bases. They were great at getting on base. Their starting pitching was really good. Their bullpen was lights out. Every other part of the game besides power was on point. And that's not been the case this year.
Wasn't the Rays not good at hitting home runs last year?
That's correct.
But then this year they
are.
took
their pace is slowed down.
So what happened? Did they change the coaches?
There is some sorcery, witchcraft, voodoo going on in Tampa that no one has figured out.
I'm trying
with
to
the
think.
pitching and the hitting.
So did they have a new hitting coach or something?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know.
Wow.
No,
Is they on that juice?
I don't know the Rays. I'm trying to think if the Rays made any significant additions last year or this past year.
No.
I don't think so.
They get guys that you've never heard of.
Right.
Harold Ramirez goes down there and plays well. G-Man Choi goes down there and plays well.
It's Florida.
They turned Diaz into an all-star.
Florida.
They don't have one guy with 30 home runs.
Rosarina, isn't he?
How is he have?
He's got to be right around there.
He's probably the best. But they have a lot of guys with that are going to finish with 18 and 20 and 22.
I mean, Josh Lowe's probably going to hit 30.
Who?
Josh,
they have I think isn't it Josh Lau and
No,
Brandon Lowe?
Brandon
Lau and Josh Lowe.
I thought you said Josh Bell.
They just have a lot of guys that
can what?
They're not filled with superstars. The problem is right now, the Guardians are bad and boring. That's something I said about the Browns for many years.
Yeah.
The Browns are not, or at least I don't expect them to be. I expect the Browns to be not bad and not boring. And for years, I always said, come on, YouTube TV. That's probably Bally's fault, that this whole TV
You got to sell the rights.
disaster.
Switch to T-Mobile and you can get the baseball package for free. That's what I do.
Yeah.
On what?
I'm not messing with my phone
T-Mobile.
service.
I've had the same phone service for 20
what are
years.
you using? What subscription?
Through T-Mobile.
You know what I'm trying to say.
Well, you have
Yeah,
an app
but
on
you
the
can't
TV.
watch. But you can't watch the Guardians games in market.
Yeah.
Oh, I steal everything.
Oh. Yeah.
What is
Don't
wrong
admit
with him, man?
Don't admit
this
that.
dude is sick, man.
Don't admit that. All right. Any final? Listen, I still say the Guardians got a lot of work to do this offseason. And, part of the reason we like the Josh Bell trade is because they save money. But again, if they don't use that money to improve the team, it's going to be a problem.
I'll tell you what.
I think the Guardians, listen, it's easy to say, well, they've done a bad job in free agency. They should just go the trade route, development route. But if they're that good, they should be able to get some right in free agency. I think the Guardians have to spend big on a tier 1 free agent for once.
Otani? You're going to get him going now. That's
should.
a tier 1 free agent. That's never happened.
No, I know it's
That's
not.
never happened.
No, he's not even a tier 1.
Don't turn me up. I've been sitting back in this conversation.
I gotta
don't
look
get
at
me
it.
going.
Amani Otani, here it goes.
Listen, Cleveland will be back on the map, baby. Listen.
2024 MLB free agents. I'm not even sure who the best free agents are.
Juan Soto.
Juan Soto's a free agent.
You like that? You see how I do that?
You did.
I keep my ears. I'm like an Indian. I keep my ears to the ground.
2024 free agents. Anybody want Josh Donaldson?
No.
I'm kidding.
He's 41 now.
I'm kidding. Cody Bellinger. Now,
No, I take that.
I think the Cubs will probably resign him.
That is not a tier 1 free agent anymore. He's not tier 1 free agent.
Have you seen what he's done this year?
Aaron Judge, Aaron Judge is Shohei Otani is a tier 1 free agent.
Fair.
Tier 2.
I'm just saying. That's tier 1.
To me, tier 1 is a lot wider than
Bellinger is better than Josh Bell, but he's not the elite.
He's way
class
better
anymore.
than Josh Bell.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like in tiers of where the
Man,
Guardians normally
we
shop,
need sticks.
that would be higher than where they normally
Yeah,
shop.
what he got 18, 19 home runs on the season. I take that.
Bellinger, yeah.
I take that.
Cody Bellinger
how I
would be
knew
the
that?
second best player on the
You
Guardians.
see how I knew that?
Yeah, you were
Jason,
texting
yes or
me
no?
the other day about Bellinger.
Cody Bellinger would be the second best player on the Guardians.
What
Hitters.
happened to Jimenez?
Yes,
I remember
probably.
sitting on this show,
Yeah.
and he was telling me that Jimenez will be like this.
He's not had a good year.
He's been
And I just
He hadn't had a good year.
He's been
I'm
a
I'm
huge-
still a buyer in him, but he has not had.
Man,
a good
if he
year.
has another bad year next year, that contract
They're
is going to
screwed.
be a disaster.
They're screwed.
Yeah, that's
You think the Bell contract was bad?
Yeah, oh my God. I think he'll bounce back. I wonder if he's just putting so much pressure on himself for this contract. Who knows?
Stevens.
All right, so coming up in a minute, we're going to talk with Mike Sando. Mike writes for The Athletic, of course. One of the now the rituals of the beginning of the football season is Mike Sando reveals his quarterback tiers. Now, what's important is the idiots who get mad at Mike's list will say, Mike, will yell at him.
Mike has nothing to do with
Mike
this
is the
list.
compiler of the
Yes.
less, and he
Yes.
does an amazing job
Yes.
with it.
Yes.
However,
he has contacts all over the league. It's
does.
NFL people putting this list together.
yes. So, but we're going to go for a second. But so what he does is he interviews 50 NFL coaches and personnel guys, correct? Mm-hmm. And he takes their votes to rank the NFL quarterbacks. So this is about as good a list as you can get. And we're going to talk with Mike in just a minute. Let's go to Earl first.
As always, just a family reminder to subscribe to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Hit that bell for all the latest alerts. And joining us right now is the Athletic senior writer, Mike Sando. Mike, welcome to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. How are you?
Guys have said.
Absolutely. So, in my 26 years of covering the league, I've developed a lot of relationships with people. And this year we had 8 general managers, 10 head coaches, 15 coordinators, and a mix of others in front offices and coaching staffs go through all of the veteran starting quarterbacks and put them into different tiers. The tiers are ones that I've learned from talking to people in the league. What is it that separates a top tier quarterback from lesser ones? And so, it's pretty much a market analysis, right, of what the league thinks of the quarterbacks in the league and why, right? We can say the why.
Right. Mike, what I think is amazing, this article, this column that you put out every year, to me, has become the go-to, there's a zillion articles written about the NFL. That's not a word, actually. It's not a number, but I think there might be. But this is the most important thing I read every year. I always look forward to it. So kudos on that.
Yeah.
I will say, I'm curious about this, because to me, Patrick Mahomes is even above a tier 1. I don't know what you'd call it, but it's almost like he should be on his own tier by himself. What do you think of that?
I totally agree. I think there's degrees within a tier. And I was actually, so the way it came out, Patrick Mahomes, 50 out of 50 voters put him in tier 1. I was actually kind of happy that one voter put Burrow in tier 2. Not that he's not a tier 1 quarterback, but it just created a little bit of separation there, because I think what Mahomes.
We lost Mike's audio.
Yeah, we try to get this fixed real quick.
Okay. Well, that's too bad.
We have we discussed this on? We haven't discussed this at all on the show, right?
No, we haven't. We were going to do it yesterday, but we wanted to wait because we had Mike on today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he's got Deshaun at 11.
11, yeah.
So
right, we'll get into that in just a sec, but yeah.
And I wanted to ask him about Aaron Rodgers. He's got.
I was surprised he was so high.
I was
still.
really surprised.
Why is y'all? Because it's Aaron Rodgers.
But he wasn't that good last year, and he's almost 40.
So was Tom Brady
you'd
when he
rather
left the Patriots and he won the Super Bowl.
He did, but you'd
He
rather
had
have
Aaron Rodgers ahead of Jalen Hurts, right? Not he,
Yeah,
but again.
yeah, that was.
But I
kinda
didn't think Aaron Rodgers was that bad. I thought his receivers was bad.
Oh,
last year.
come on.
They didn't drop the ball?
Did they drop it more than any other team?
Yes.
If you're that great a quarterback, you should be able to overcome that.
I'm going to overcome my receivers dropping the ball.
But where were
better.
Where were they? Tyvis, where were they in terms of drops? Do you know where they were in the league wide?
Let's find out.
Or are you just talking out your ass?
I'll get back to you on that now.
Let's run through. Well, while Mike fixes the audio,
Yeah.
just for background.
Yeah.
So Mahomes obviously is 1, Burrow's 2. Earl, do we have graphics of this, or do you want me to just read it?
No, we don't have any graphics of it.
I'll just read it real quick.
Go ahead.
There.
Mahomes is 1,
ahead,
Burrow
read
was
that.
2, Josh Allen was 3, Aaron Rodgers was 4, Justin Herbert was
Wait
5.
a minute. Who's number 1?
The Packers.
Thank you.
But-
give me that. Give it back. That's all you need to see.
Okay. By the way, it's
That's it.
30 passes dropped.
I rest my
That's
case.
less than 2 per game.
I rest my case.
That's less than 2 per
The
game. All right,
defense rests.
We got Mike back. Mike, you hear us?
Yeah, I got.
Okay.
Mike, we're
I got you,
arguing over.
Brian.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was able to get into your settings on here and pick the right microphone, so I think
There
we're
you
good.
go.
We're arguing over Aaron
but-
Rodgers, and little surprised that he fell as high as, or climbed as high as he was. Were you surprised at all that Rodgers was as high as he was?
No, so you have to remember, I've been doing this for 10 years, so I'm talking to these guys all the time. And if you go back to the end of the Mike McCarthy era where their offense just wasn't looking as good, something was wrong, and you started to have a lot of people in the media kind of saying Rodgers has lost a step. There were articles about it. And I remember when I talked to the people that I used in this survey at that time, they still put him like almost unanimous tier 1. They stood by Rodgers. So I thought they were going to all stand by him again after this last season in Green Bay. But 20 of them deserted. 20 of them put him in tier 2.
Wow.
So he, before this year, in 10 years of doing this, I guess 9 previous years, he had gotten 401 out of 408 votes in tier 1. Like almost no one ever gave him a tier 2.
Wow.
Now he gets 20 out of 50 in tier 2. So there's definitely some questions in people's minds. But I think it's very similar to Brady leaving New England. When he left New England, same thing happened to him. You know, he was sort of tired of the Patriots.
Oh, why just say that? Tyvis is
The
gloating
offense
over
looked
here.
bad. The offense looked bad, and everyone was writing off, not everyone, but a lot of people were like downgrading Tom Brady. Hey, he's 40, whatever.
Yeah.
This is when it falls off. And so, Brady went to a really good Tampa team with great weapons and a really good defense, probably a little bit better situation than Rodgers is going to, right? With a proven offensive coach and all of that, to where now Rodgers is coming in, with a little bit of the same chip on his shoulder, something to prove. I'm not sure if it's as good around him, but it's pretty good. He could have a bounce back.
Yeah.
Are you done?
Are
you done gloating over there?
I'm just saying, I'm available for the Athletic if they need a piece. I want to talk about Josh Allen. Josh Allen I think he led the league in picks last year. And now that he doesn't have, that was his first season without Brian Daboll. Does he still look like he's one of them top tier guys? He's on the front of Madden this year. That curse does play
He's
a part.
third overall in the list.
So, yeah.
So Josh Allen is the only guy in 10 years of doing this who has been in the survey at least 5 times and improved every year. And he actually went up a little bit from last year to this year, which was, didn't feel like he had necessarily a better year. What happened was Burrow just went past him anyway. Burrow went up more. Josh Allen has really settled in there. I didn't get a ton of concerns on him. I mean, I think the addition of Dalton Kincaid is probably really big for him. I know that he's made some waves in camp, and the podcast that I do every week with Randy Mueller, the football GM. Randy's a huge fan of the Kincaid addition, so I think that will probably help him. You may have some longer term concerns with how much he runs. That you can hit a wall physically. I mean, I think Cam Newton did at a certain point. Mm-hmm. Josh Allen's a long way from that happening, but I think ideally he would probably learn when to say when a little bit with his body and with some of the trying to do the spectacular throws. Maybe he got a little too much of that last year, just a little bit.
Mike, let's talk about Deshaun Watson, who's obviously a polarizing guy to the fans, to media, probably to executives as well. You look at, he got 1 Tier 1 vote, 31 Tier 2 votes, 17 Tier 3, and 1 Tier 4. He finishes 11th overall. If I were voting, I would vote him Tier 2 with the potential to be Tier 1, but he's got to show it for the first time in 3 years. Yeah. You write here that only Russell Wilson, Baker Mayfield, and Matthew Stafford suffered greater year-over-year drops. What are all these people saying? What's the general consensus about Deshaun Watson and his ability to bounce back this year?
The general consensus was he looked shockingly bad last year, but there was a long layoff, so clearly that had to have something to do with it. And then with all of the energy that Shirley was going into battling those lawsuits and all of that and what was going on in the media, that probably was a contributing factor to his focus. So I think is an expectation that he's not going to be like less of an athlete. I mean, he should be better, but it was bad enough. It looked bad enough that I think people want him to prove it. They're not just taking it to the bank for sure that he's going to come back and be what he was before.
I'm just curious. Do you talk to the same people every year for this, or does it ever change? I mean, I know guys change roles and come and go from the league.
It's definitely a churn. I think the first year I did it in 2014, I think I only had 26 people because my network wasn't as big. And then one year we went up to 55, and I finally said, let's bring it down to 50. So I would say there's I would think half of them probably carry over from the last year to the next, but then as you get more and more years removed, right, it's just a different mix. I try to have I really am conscious of how many people in each position I get, right? I'm shooting for, I got 8 GMs this year, 10 head coaches, 15 coordinators, and sure, there's probably 5 people who've done it all 10 years, something like that, but there's a good mix of turnover.
What surprised you this year? Anything?
Yeah, so I was a little surprised, like I said, that Rodgers came down as much. I thought they've been so unwavering towards him. I was a little surprised that Stafford didn't fall a little more. Mm-hmm. I thought people might write him off a little more than they did. I was a little surprised that Kirk Cousins moved up some. I was like, what do we have to learn about Kirk Cousins? But, he did tie an NFL record with 8 fourth-quarter comeback wins last year, so maybe that helped him just inch up. I thought people would be harsher on Kyler Murray, with all the stuff that has come out, and, Patrick Peterson's criticized him. I thought there would be a little bit more of a dumping on him, but I think there was people understanding that it wasn't just him. There's a lot of bad stuff going on in the Arizona organization, and maybe he was one of the better things they had going for him. So
just for clarity, those are all the guys around Deshaun. Stafford was 10, Deshaun 11, Kirk Cousins was 12, and Kyler Murray was 13. So those are all sort of clumped together.
I was surprised, Mike. I was surprised that 11 people, I think it was 11, still voted Russell Wilson, who Tyvis hates and played with.
I don't hate that man.
That voted him a Tier 2 quarterback. And to me, another thing on the list, I was surprised, maybe I'm a little prisoner of the moment, but I was surprised that Lamar Jackson was ahead of Trevor Lawrence, because I would definitely take Trevor Lawrence over Lamar Jackson going forward.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so Lamar's a little bit of a surprise to me because, we would all agree Lamar kind of had a bad year last year, right? I mean, last year did not help Lamar's standing, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So, but last year Lamar's average was 2.00 on the dot. This year he's 1.94. Like, he actually got a tiny bit better. Now, like I said, we have a little different mix of people, so he's essentially was unchanged. And I thought that he might sink a little off last year, but there's an interesting mix of kind of hope and fear for him. The hope is, hey, you know what? They got some receivers now. They're going to run more of a passing offense. He will have a chance now to show once and for all that he can pass the ball better. But then there's also kind of a fear of like, yeah, but what if he's not as good at it as they hope, right? That what if he really does need it to be set up around the run like it has been, and what if he now is a little bit exposed, right? So through those two waves of opinions, I think he just sort of stayed where he was.
Yeah. Oh, it's fascinating.
Well, since we're talking about all the quarterbacks in the AFC North, I'll just talk about Kenneth Pickett. What is your thoughts on him? You know, they went out and got Allen Robinson. You know, he turned a lot of heads last year towards the end of the season. You know, can they be a playoff team with him at the quarterback position?
Let me check. Is Mike Tomlin still coaching the team?
Yes,
they always have a winning record. So, you know, there's more than Kenny Pickett to this thing. I think here's what's the takeaway on Pickett. Like, pretty high floor. People are confident that he's going to be a solid starting quarterback, and that he checks a lot of the boxes that aren't the boxes that I'm a special traits player, right? So people aren't seeing a ceiling for him of being special and climbing up and threatening Tier 1, but I do think they feel like he'll be at least be a solid Tier 3 quarterback. Maybe he's an upper Tier 3 quarterback. You know, if you look at upper Tier 3, lower Tier 2, Cousins is in that range, Derek Carr's in that range, you know, Jared Goff's in that range. Maybe he can be like that.
One guy I'm fascinated about, Mike.
Baker.
And, well, no, Baker stinks. He's not even worth talking about. But
You rogue.
is Brock Purdy. He finished as the number one guy in Tier 4 ahead of Baker. And I saw there was one guy that picked him as a Tier 2 quarterback. I thought he looked fantastic, but it was such a small sample size. Yeah. I know the tendency is to think, well, you know, it's only a few games. He was a late pick, but, you know, maybe I'm not saying he's going to be Tom Brady, but maybe he's the next Kirk Cousins, you know, solid quarterback that was drafted late. Well, I'm curious, especially the guy whoever it was that voted him Tier 2, thoughts on Brock Purdy.
Yes. So, you know, when I give these guys their ballots, I define what the tiers are. And the definition of Tier 4 is you could be two things. One, not enough information. Like, even Mahomes, after his first year, he only had one start. A lot of people just gave him a 4. We don't have any idea. Right. And then the other thing you could be as a 4 would be like Ryan Fitzpatrick, right? Hey, we don't really think we want you to start the whole year, right? You're solid, but you're not really a full year starter. So in the case of Brock Purdy, he got a lot of 4s of not enough information.
Right.
I do think that just the way he handled the situation and coming onto a good team, playing extremely efficiently, it wasn't too big for him. It wasn't too fast for him. That part impressed the people that leaned towards Tier 3 or the one guy who went to Tier 2. The reason a lot of people weren't willing to go there beyond just the fact that it was a small number of games was you're in an extremely favorable situation with Kyle Shanahan, talent all over on offense, and then you have a very high margin for error because you have a top 5 defense. So if you don't have a good game or a good series, it doesn't matter. We'll come back the next drive and the score is going to be the same, right? We're not down by 14. And then you would say there's no apparent elite traits, right? And I think as you look at a lot of these guys in the top 2 tiers, they have something special beyond, like if the play doesn't go to plan, like Josh Allen might make a better play, right?
Right.
Pat Mahomes might make a better play. Jalen Hurts might make a better play. Lamar might make a better play. Even Trevor Lawrence, good athlete, might make a better play. And when you start getting into some of these mid guys, Jared Goff's not really making a better play. is Brock Purdy making a better play, right? What did he do other than sit in the seat of a Ferrari and drive it competently, right? That's kind of where the people would be that weren't going to give him a lot of credit.
Daniel Jones, you've got at 19. That seems low given his money, but it seems
all quarterbacks get paid.
Yeah, I know. But you wrote in there that he made one of the biggest leaps in all the tiers.
Yeah.
Just what do you think about Daniel?
So I think if this was Daniel Jones' rookie year and we didn't know anything else about him, I think he would probably come in with a little more optimism, right? Like, hey, that's a pretty good first year. He kind of has to overcome the fact that there was a couple years of not so good, and then the credit gets distributed to Brian Daboll, right? Yeah. It's like Tua's in this situation too. Like, you're in an unusually bad situation to start your career. The questions people have about you are amplified, and then something dramatically other than you changes, a coach or weaponry or something, and now you don't get the full credit for looking better. Yeah. And I think that's what happens with Daniel Jones. He has to kind of overcome. It takes more than 1 year to overcome, and he probably just has to build on it with, like, hey, they got some weapons now, year 2. Does he make another jump? And if he does, I think, where you sort of feel he might deserve to be now might be where he is, right? Towards the top of tier 3 or maybe threatening 2.
Yeah, I think the same thing for 2. I think you're right. The only defense I would have of Daniel Jones, even though I don't think I think he's not that good, but my one defense of him would be, unlike Tua, he has, Barkley's obviously a great player, but in terms of wide receivers and tight ends, he's had no talent around him.
They got hurt last year.
They have
none.
Yeah,
absolutely none. So I don't think people understand. Like, people give him credit. He's a big guy and he's a really good athlete. I mean, the guy can really run. So he does have that going for him, and that can kind of help you when some of those other things, aren't there. But I think he will be judged more this year as a passer because it was really conservative last year. And I think people did understand that was a function not just of him. That's a function of what they add on offense. It was nothing. So it's a big year for him. I think it's a big year for him to be able to make a jump.
Mike, let me ask you about a quarterback that I played with. He's one of the most winningest quarterbacks in NFL history. His name is Jimmy Garoppolo. And now that he's with the Las Vegas Raiders, he's got Devontae Adams. What are they saying about him? What's your thoughts on him in this season?
Okay, so you might appreciate this. Like, he's going to be with Josh McDaniels, and he knows the McDaniels offense, right? So you might be inclined to think this is a great fit. I'm not saying it's a bad fit, but it could be a fit that asks more of the quarterback than the fit he had in San Francisco, especially for a team that over the last decade is last in the league in defense and special teams. So there's going to be just ask Derek Carr. I mean, Derek Carr is a mid-quarterback who doesn't win because he doesn't have what Jimmy G had in San Francisco. And so if you look at the last 5 years, the 49ers are 6th statistically on defense special teams. The Raiders are 32nd. The top 8 teams the last 5 years all have winning records. Doesn't matter who quarterbacks them. The bottom 8 teams, all losing records except the team with Rodgers, the team with Mahomes, the team that had Rivers and Herbert, the top tier quarterbacks. So if we think that Jimmy is probably a high tier 3 quarterback, what does it mean for him when you go to a team that is bottom 8 in defense and special teams? It means you don't win like you did in San Francisco. There's no way he's going to win 70% or whatever he did. It's going to be different and harder for him now.
Mike, one more quarterback I want to ask you about. Obviously, the Ohio State ties here, Justin Fields.
Go Bucks.
You have him
overrated.
Don't do that.
Overrated.
Don't do that.
You're killing Tyvis.
Sorry, he's overrated.
No, he's not.
Mike can only run. He has no pass.
Can we let Mike talk about
that?
Mike knows he can't pass. Go ahead, Mike.
You got him as a low tier 3.
Well, okay, so he also came into a terrible situation, right? Bad team, not a lot around him. He's had a couple of coaches. Showed for sure that he's got the athleticism and can run. I think everybody trusts that he is smart and has the head screwed on straight, like he's a worker. He's going to try to get better. So he's got that going for him. Now, I think there's a change in attitude towards a player like him who obviously has issues passing. He's not a good passer yet. because there has been a path blazed in the last few years. Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts. They're two guys that were really good with their legs and really squared away, like with their approach and stuff. They're professionals, and they have grown as passers. And when people didn't think accuracy improves, right? Oh, your accuracy never. If you can't pass it, you can't throw it straight, you'll never be able to. Those guys have shown you can do it. So I think there is more hope now for Justin Fields as they get him a couple weapons, and he, kind of finds his bearing in the league, that he can get better in that regard too. Doesn't mean he's going to, and if he doesn't, he's going to have a hard time rising in this because he was rough around the edges, with his passing.
Where is he rated on that list?
He's 20.
What do you got? I'm 20. I just had it up. 20.
Yeah, let me just grab it right here.
I got it right here. 21.
21 is overrated.
He's overrated by you and Brad Sellers. Go ahead, Earl.
Mike,
you got a
real
question?
quick.
No, he's the one
Just
guy
looking
in
ahead
tier.
and kinda
Yeah, he's
trying
the
to
one
project
guy.
Hang on.
next
Go ahead,
year.
Mike. Go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say he's clearly the guy in tier 3 who has the ability to go really high
Sure.
of all those guys in tier 3 because of his ability, and he's young.
Put your finger down, Tyvis.
Go ahead, Earl.
Hey, Mike, I was just going to ask real quick before we wrapped up. Of the rookie quarterbacks that was drafted in the first round, the C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, and Bryce Young, which of those guys can you see possibly being a tier 4, tier 3 quarterback next year when this list comes out?
That's a good question. Well, I think they're all going to play a lot. That's really a good question. I think C.J. Stroud has it tough because if you look at their schedule and what he's got around him, I kind of like him a lot, but I feel like it's going to be hard for him. Maybe it's Bryce Young because of the division that he's in, but I think it's going to be rough out of the gates for the young guys. Maybe Anthony Richardson has an advantage because of his running. He may be able to, kind of stabilize things that way, but I think it's hard to come in right away and take the mantle and be expected to just get it all down and produce.
Mike, great stuff. Great job with the list as always. We appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
There's Mike Sando. Guys, we'll switch it up in a second, Earl, but we got to react a little bit to what he said. First of all, Fields has got a long. I'm not saying he can't do it.
You just said he was overrated.
He was.
How is he overrated if
Because
he's ranked 21st?
people were going nuts about him last year as if he'd arrived
On fantasy, yeah.
on fantasy.
That's the only reason they was going nuts.
But I was like, he can't pass the ball.
Yeah, they dropped his passes
Oh,
too.
come on.
They did.
Aaron Rodgers,
Pull up the list. Who was second?
Tampa Bay was,
Pack-
I think.
no team technically drops the most was 30 on a team. That's less than 2 per game. Justin Fields got a long way to go as a passer. Yes?
Yes.
Doesn't every rookie?
Well, he's not a rookie
Well,
anymore.
a second year. What is he? What is this year? 3 for him? This 3 for him.
3. How many years does Stroud start? 2, right?
2, yeah. This
Then
is
this-
3.
I'm just saying, I'm not convinced he's going to be that good a quarterback. He's a great athlete,
That's
and he
fine.
can run, but
What are you at? Are you saying can you win a Super Bowl with Justin Fields? Is that the question?
I don't think you can.
Well, I mean, it's
now,
way
could he
too
get a
early.
lot better if he
Yeah.
does? He's got his
But
passing.
you were screaming overrated, and to me, I'm
Right,
trying to
because
figure
I
out
felt
how,
like fans were going nuts. Maybe it was just
how the
Brad.
heck
It
is
might
he
have just been
overrated?
Brad.
Just Brad. It was
probably
Nobody,
just
yeah,
Brad.
nobody's in here saying that he's up there with Trevor Lawrence or anything
Yeah.
like that. We just saying that he had a decent year running the ball.
Running the ball.
Huh.
Yes.
I mean, he had no weapons.
That's fair.
So how do we know?
By the way, why did they pay Cole Kmet all that money?
Because he's the only weapon that he
He's
had.
not that good. Let's just react to what he said about Deshaun Watson. Well, not what he said. So Deshaun Watson finishes 11th in this, and there was a wide variety of, what he was given votes everywhere from tier 1 to tier 4. If you guys had that chart, what would you give him?
Tier 2.
Tier 2.
Me too.
I'd put him in Tier 2.
I think that's where he belongs.
I would rather have him than Matthew Stafford. I'd put him above Stafford.
I think Matthew Stafford.
because of age and
I'd
injury.
rather have
I think he's
him than
shot.
Dak Prescott. I'd put him above Dak.
I don't trust Dak with the ball.
I'd probably put him 9. I'm not as big on Trevor Lawrence as everybody else is.
Really, I'm very
Why
high on
is
Trevor
that?
Lawrence.
But I don't know.
Because he don't do all the.
I think Lamar is a little too high.
I think Lamar is high.
Lamar, listen, Lamar he can be dangerous. If that passing thing really works, it's gonna be a long season for a lot.
So you'd have him 9 ahead of Stafford and Prescott.
I'd have him 9. I'd probably have him 9. I think he's a top 10 quarterback.
Prescott is ahead of Deshaun on that list.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, on this list, yeah. Hurts,
Are you
right here,
kidding me?
Hurts at 6, Lamar 7, Trevor Lawrence 8, Dak 9, Stafford 10, Deshaun 11.
I don't like that. I mean, hey, listen, that's what they.
Well,
feel.
Stafford is unknown because of the injury. Like, he just won a Super Bowl 2 years ago and played great.
Right. Yeah, but still,
shot.
I'd rather have Deshaun.
He shot.
We don't know that
He shot. I'm telling you,
You
he
think he
shot.
shot?
He would know. I tend to think he shot too.
I would agree with you. I would definitely rather have Deshaun than Dak Prescott, and I would rather have him than Stafford, even though Stafford. So I agree. I think he's 9. I don't think you could put him ahead of any of the top 8 guys.
What was Russell on that list?
Russell Wilson was
16.
16.
Mid tier 3, right in the middle.
Where's
Actually, high
where's
tier.
Justin Herbert?
Herbert's 4.
4.
Okay.
No, Rodgers is 4.
5.
Herbert's 5.
Herbert's 5.
Cool.
He's the last tier 1. The tier 1 quarterbacks in order are Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Rodgers, and Herbert.
That's fair.
I would have Herbert, I would put Herbert ahead of
A
Rodgers.
lot of people think Herbert's overrated.
You know what? You could subscribe to The Athletic for $1.50 a month, and you could have this all for yourself.
There you go. Jalen Hurts is 6.
I mean, as crazy as that list is, I might be able
All right,
to
so
be
we're all in
work for
agreement.
the Athletic. I'm looking for a 6th
I know
job.
we did a poll on this, right, Earl?
Yeah, we did. But before we get to that, I just want to remind people to subscribe to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Hit that bell for all the latest alerts. All right, fellas, it's time for our PCC Airfoil question of the day. Looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits? PCC Airfoils is a lead manufacturer in Northeast Ohio, and all locations of PCC Airfoil in Eastlake, Menor, Whitcliffe, and Minerva are hiring right now for all positions, and they start at $18 an hour and up. Get full benefit packages, paid time off, signing bonuses. Apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. So today we decided to put up 2 poll questions. I'm going to read them in order. The first one was, the Guardians were sellers at the trade deadline and capped it off by being no-hit by the Houston Astros. Will the Guardians still win that week? AL Central, we had 214 votes. 68% says no, they won't. 32% says yes, they will.
I thought we had a poll on Deshaun Watson's
I
tier.
said we got two
We got
polls.
two
I was going to
polls.
read them in order.
That's the first one.
Your ADD's worse than mine.
No, well, I was just... Go ahead.
The second one is, which quarterback tier do you believe Deshaun Watson belongs in? We have 733 votes, and 56% says he belongs in tier 2. You had 28% with tier 1, 13% with tier 3, and 3% with tier 4.
So I am stunned that the majority of the people in that poll were reasonable and picked him for tier 2.
Tier 4. Who are the 3%
Tier
that
4
picked
is
him for
stupid.
Tier 4?
He's not. There's no way you can put him in tier 1 right now.
No.
He hasn't played at that level for 2 years.
No.
We all know he's capable of playing at tier 1 level, but when he hasn't done it for 2 years, you can't put him that high. Now, I guess you could argue he hasn't played at tier 2 level either. I mean, last year he played at tier 5.
Well, yeah.
He was awful, but it was only 6 games. But listen, when the Browns traded for Deshaun Watson, the expectation was he was going to be a top 5 quarterback in the league. But if you guaranteed me he'd be the 9th best quarterback in the NFL, I'd probably sign
You
for
got
that.
a chance to win a Super Bowl
You got
with the
a chance
9th
to win
best
a
Would you
quarterback
say,
in the NFL.
let me ask you this, would
Yeah.
you say that the Browns have given Deshaun everything he's needed to be a top 5 quarterback?
Close to it. I mean, everything, about as close, pretty close.
No team has everything.
No team has everything. I mean, he could have a better wide receiving core, but it's good enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's good enough.
You agree?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that they've given him, obviously the Jordan Akins signing is directly from Deshaun. I think that they've taken his input in, and in terms of scheming the offense, in terms of play design, in terms of personnel, I think he's had a voice.
So if he's not top 5 this season,
Who's that fall on?
yes.
I'd say top 10.
Yeah, I would say.
Oh
top
yeah,
10.
Top 5 is I mean, that's hard.
top-
I mean,
so if we need him to move up 1 spot, in that according to that.
Yeah, which That's fine. He will.
Top 10. If he's not top 10 numbers this year, is it on?
The Browns haven't had a top 10 quarterback since Bernie Kosar.
but it's hard to say that without
Baker
seeing.
Mayfield in 2020 wasn't a top 10 quarterback.
No.
I had to look up the stats on that.
If,
Actually,
and what are we using to gauge to grade a top 10
numbers.
quarterback?
Yeah.
But what numbers? Passing yards, quarterback rating, passer rating.
I think it's the combination of all of
Well,
them.
let's go QBR.
QBR. Well, here's what I would say: Are there opportunities to win the game? Are they scheming receivers open all over the field and he's not making the throws?
Well, apparently that's
on him.
With Kevin Stefanski, that happens every week. There's somebody just streaking down the field.
Well, when he had Baker and Jacoby as his quarterbacks, yeah, there were dudes open all over the field. He didn't have a quarterback capable of getting him the ball.
Okay. So
Now, they should have a quarterback capable of getting him the ball.
I think the biggest thing for Deshaun is the mental hurdle of what he did to himself, I'll say. And now that it's all and I know he's still got those 2 cases open. If I were him, I'd want them settled as soon as possible. Unfortunately, that hasn't happened. But most of this is now behind him. Mm-hmm. And he's got mental hurdles to climb over because it seems like, yeah, there was rust, but there was also there was so much distraction from what happened last year.
For sure.
And there was and again, I don't know this, but it seemed like he had lost his confidence, cockiness, mojo, whatever it was.
Swag
his
is the word you're looking for.
His swag. He has to have that back.
Yeah.
He needs to play with that swag, that attitude. Otherwise, he can't be great.
He has to be the guy that they kind of hate. Like the teams, he get up and he do the dances and all of that stuff.
Right.
Like that's just passion. That's how he shows his
back.
passion, and he didn't have that last year.
Yeah.
But so let me ask you this: is there a way? Not saying that this will happen because there's no way that this will happen. Deshaun's going to have an excellent season, but. Is there a way that if Deshaun doesn't perform, that Kevin Stefanski does not get fired?
If Deshaun Watson doesn't have a good season, the Browns don't make the playoffs, and everybody's getting fired, I think.
But if we look at on film and people is wide open, but the quarterback's not making the throw?
I don't want to hear it. It's too late. He gets fired if they don't make if they're not good, he's got to be fired.
I think that there's a lot of what happens if they're 9-8, 10-7. What do you do?
10-7. I mean,
what do you do?
They're not going to be 10-7 if he's not playing well.
I'm just saying, if you're 9-8,
I didn't say make the playoffs that he gets fired.
What do you do if you're 9-8, 10-7? What do you do? If you miss the playoffs but you have a winning record, what are you supposed to do?
I'm asking.
Well, I don't know.
I'm asking.
But we need to see
that wasn't the question. He said if Watson doesn't play well, and if Watson doesn't play well, they're probably not going to win 10 games.
Well, if Watson doesn't play well, then Deshaun's making more money than Kevin, and I guess you go to Deshaun and say, "Who do you want?"
Yeah,
like that didn't work. So what do you want?
Listen, I don't even want to. You know what? I don't want to discuss those scenarios anymore because if Deshaun Watson's not good, the Browns are screwed. They're screwed.
It's gonna be.
They can't do anything with his
contract.
It's going to be a mass exit because if he has a bad year this year, it's over.
It's over for the Cleveland Browns.
It's over for him. It's over for the Browns. That's it.
We'll be in full rebuild.
So let's just talk about what happens if he's good and how good can he be. Okay. Like, can he be a top 5 quarterback this year? I think that's possible.
Yeah, with the weapons he has.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
Yes.
Yeah. If he's that good.
Listen,
he's got better weapons than he had in Houston.
I'm not saying yes or no. I'm just asking a question.
You know, to be fair, he's won one playoff game. But he has better weapons around him now than he ever had in Houston.
And if he's,
aside from that's not.
If he's that big a superstar, now I would say nobody's Mahomes. But Mahomes won the Super Bowl with one really good
Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame, yes, but only one. The rest of his skill position players were just guys.
David Njoku's only going to the Hall of Fame when he buys a ticket.
Yeah.
So Juju Smith-Schuster ain't a good football player?
He's just a guy. He's an average, decent football player.
I just want to see what y'all say.
He's okay.
Listen.
Now, the Browns don't have any superstars.
I think that the Browns... Oh, Amari Cooper's really good.
Right, but he's not a superstar. He's the Hall of Famer.
He's not a superstar.
Y'all, listen, Elijah...
He's a very...
Listen.
And then don't start with Elijah Moore, who I like.
Wait a minute, because I got to say this.
Yeah.
I got to say this.
Yeah.
I've been on social media, okay? And I've been just reading reviews and reading responses about how great Elijah Moore is, okay? To the point that I seen somebody say that he is like Deebo Samuel. They using him like a Deebo Samuel. And I'm going to just tell you right now, if he is that good, and he has that type of season, then the Browns better not even be talking about not being in the playoffs. That's first of all.
Let me say this, all right? I like Elijah Moore a lot.
Oh, they talking about
And I think there's a ton of potential.
Man.
When they traded for him, I was very excited about this deal because I've liked this guy since he got drafted by the Jets, and I thought the Jets misused him.
I agree.
But the overhype on him right now is embarrassing.
It's
embarrassing. Stop talking about him as if he's a superstar. He hasn't done anything in the NFL. He's got to prove it. He's got to prove it.
That man's going to be a huge deal in the red zone. I'm going to tell you that.
He's got to prove it, yes?
Yes.
That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
And I love this guy. And I think he's going to have a good year.
I do, too.
But don't tell me, don't go nuts yet.
I'm just
based on practice.
What I've been reading.
People are going, who? From Nick Carnes?
I don't know who said it.
Who is this guy? You mentioned him like twice. I don't even know
he said
who
him yesterday.
He
Who's
lives
Nick Carnes?
rent
Brown
is
super
this?
fan, Nick Carnes.
I don't even know who you're talking about.
Bulls head.
Or
Well,
Hiram.
do you think it's hype or optimism? Because I know we've talked to Mary Kay Cabot. I know I've talked to Camp Justice and other.
No
places.
offense to all of them. I love them all.
Let me finish my
Yeah,
statement.
Yeah.
And when I asked them about who stood out or who's eye catching, and they always talk about Elijah Moore. They talk about how Elijah Moore is being used and his potential and the things that he can do. So I wouldn't necessarily classify as
Used
overhyped.
where, Earl? Practice.
I understand it's
practice.
No, I understand it's practice, but you classified it as overhype. It could just be optimism based on what they see.
That's fine, but we can't talk about. He's now being talked about. And again, when the Browns traded for him, I was through the moon. I thought it was a great trade. I like the trade. I love the potential. But you can't talk about this guy as if he's a sure thing. And that's what a lot of people have started to do.
Well, he's
not a sure thing.
He's a huge part of this offense, and I think this offense.
They need him to be a huge part.
If
and
he
can
doesn't
be.
perform this season, then the Browns is going to be kind of handicapped.
With the Jets, he was a bust.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he was.
They wasn't giving him the ball. Anytime he got the ball, he made things happen.
He did? And why? Well, then why wasn't he able to get the ball more?
Because him and his quarterback had some type of problem.
So that's not his fault, or at least partly his fault?
Well, when the backups came in, he got the ball, he
Well,
scored.
all I know is Garrett Wilson who's a stud and way better than Elijah Moore, had a great year with the same crappy quarterback.
What position does Elijah Moore play?
Wide receiver.
No. And where at, though? Slide outside?
I don't even know. So I don't even give a shit.
I hate him.
I don't care.
Jason, I hate him.
I'm trying to.
I don't care where. What does that have to do with anything, Tyvis?
A lot. Because a lot of plays are schemed for the X. And if Garrett Wilson's the X, if he's the number one guy. So take it back to
But the year before.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
But the year before, Garrett Wilson wasn't there.
Wait a minute. Can I talk?
Go ahead. Let me talk.
So listen, you know how when you play high school football, right, and you play quarterback, and your boy is at wide receiver, it's like, all right, I'm gonna look for my boy,
right?
He's the best player on the team,
right?
Okay, he could be double teamed, but if I believe it, I'm gonna give him the ball. I'm not gonna go through my progressions and all of that. I'm gonna look for my guy. If my guy ain't open, I ain't going that way, and I ain't giving him the ball. I'm gonna just dump it down. That might be what's going on with the Jets.
All I'm saying is, he's got to prove it before we go banana. That we tend to do this here. I'm
with you.
Yeah,
I'm on your side.
Our fan base makes these guys and goes crazy about these guys before they've done anything. And then if they have a solid year that's not up to the expectation, then they're like, well, he wasn't disappointed. No, you just built it up too much.
Does DPJ get 1,000 this year?
No. I think Elijah Moore I would bet on Elijah Moore getting 1,000 before I bet on DPJ. I gotta see it. I gotta see it all.
I would bet on Elijah Moore to get the most targets out of everybody on the team.
More than Cooper?
Yes. You know why? Because he lines up in the backfield. They throw him the ball out of the backfield in the red zone. He's gonna play running back. It's a mismatch on linebackers. I would definitely see him getting a lot of targets this year.
So if that's the case, in a sense, then the Browns technically do plan on using him the way that the 49ers use Deebo Samuel.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying what I read.
I don't think he's going to get more.
Listen, I tell you what, this is what I do.
But, yeah.
Since I am a part of the Browns radio network, I'll be able to go to practice. I will go to practice, and I will tell you what I see. Because when I went on with the minicamp, I told you he lined up in the backfield. They kind of took Nick Chubb out in the red zone, and they put him in the backfield, which is a huge mismatch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they should do some of that. The Browns need to be creative offensively. He's an excellent athlete.
I agree.
So I hope he has this massive breakout season that we'd all like to see happen. I'm just saying, when we talk about, there were people saying, well, we don't need I was about to say Andre Johnson. We don't need DeAndre Hopkins because we got Elijah Moore. That's a silly thing to say.
Who said that?
Fans.
No, they wasn't saying that.
Oh yeah.
That's too. You comparing apples to oranges with that. That's two totally different wide receiver styles. I think they didn't want – the reason they didn't want DeAndre Hopkins is because he requires a ton of targets a game, and it would take the targets – it'd take the ball more out of Nick Chubb's hands. It'll take it away from Elijah Moore. It'll take it away from Amari Cooper.
You think that's why the Browns didn't want him?
No, I think that's why fans were saying they didn't want him.
Fans don't know their ass from their elbow.
I'm just telling you this is what I hear.
Yeah.
I keep my ear to the ground like the Indians.
You're all over the ground.
I keep my ear to the
Yesterday
ground.
I made a fantasy trade. Today I'm building a 13U travel team while y'all.
You're very obnoxious.
What is wrong with
Get
you?
involved in the conversation instead of sitting here like a lump on a log. What
You
are
guys
doing?
are arguing. I'm not going to interrupt. We only
It's
need
not
three
an
people
art.
yelling.
We're on the same page.
Yesterday was worse than today.
Yeah.
I got a lot going on today.
But
I wasn't supposed to be here, man.
It's Bull fault.
How's it? What's Bull for?
G ain't here. G all at home beat up because he was arguing
he's
with
injured
Bull
from
yesterday.
from our argument yesterday. I heard.
I got to call.
I got to go back and watch it. It was at the,
9:10. Can you do the show?
was it at the end of the show?
Jason,
Throwing
be
up in
here
the corner of the
quick. It's not a
gym,
test.
crying and sobbing and screaming.
It was funny because G texted. Where was it? Where's
He
this?
said-
We have so many chat groups. I can't even keep up here.
It's in the one with just us in the show. With just us. He said,
And me and Tyvis didn't take it serious.
I sure did. I feel bad.
What did he say first?
I feel bad. I got some bad news, is what he said.
I got some. Oh, is that what he said?
And I said, what? Let's see, what is
No,
it?
he was like, I got. Then I sent the eyes. I was
Yeah,
like, you
he
got
said,
what?
I got.
Oh, yeah.
And I
Tyvis
said,
was
the
like, you got
clap.
something.
I mean,
And
you
then
got
he was
the
like, I
clap.
got bad news. And then we was like, oh,
I'll
man.
take everybody through. Here is the play-by-play of our text chain. So who's in this text chain? Oh, it's just me, Tyvis, Earl, and G. And G out of the blue tweets, guys, I got.
That's what he said.
And Earl wrote, how long later? And that was all G said. And then like a minute later, Earl was like, what you got? And then Earl did, what is that, eye emoji?
The eye emoji.
The eye emoji, and then Tyvis did 4 eye emojis. And then Tyvis writes, the clap? And then a minute later, G finally gets back and says, guys, got some bad news. And here these guys are making jokes.
Is he all right?
I feel bad.
Oh, Anthony was in this chat group, too. He said he's having neck problems.
Bad.
And then Tyvis went the opposite way. He was like, oh, man, you going to the hospital? Anyway, he's a mess. But it's not new because he's always got problems. If folks don't know, G is a mess physically from playing football. Mm-hmm. He got all effed up, and he has
Back and neck
all
problems,
kinds of
right?
back and neck problems that never really go away. There are times where he's here and he's in a tremendous amount of pain. And that's why he's got to miss work once in a while because it just gets so bad. Plus, his sleeping is all effed up. He's a bit of a mess. But most of the time, he's able to push through it. But every once in a while, it gets so bad that he can't. That's the downside for people who played football and took a beating like he did as a defensive lineman.
I do got a question for you.
Yeah.
So when you say like people are overhyping Elijah Moore, are you more so talking about the fans or just other members of the media?
Both.
So we
I
had
think-
Mary Kay on Monday, and she had a very strong opinion, but it didn't seem like overhype. I know like it's a difference of perspective.
I guess
It's not like
I
optimism.
guess what drives me crazy, Earl, and this is not just Browns, this is all across the board now, is people that there's so much coverage of the NFL now that across the country, I follow a lot of New York reporters too, and then just general NFL reporters. They go crazy about things that happen in practice. And it's easy to look great when you know you're not getting hit and there's no pressure and you're not trying to win a game. It's a totally different story. I get it if you're a last guy on the roster, you're battling for a roster spot. Mm-hmm. But
Well, that's the thing. When I watch practice clips, I take into account what it looks like. Is it a game rep? Is it half speed? That's what I look at.
But even if it's a game rep, it's not a real game.
No, them game reps mean a lot. Like when Elijah Moore and Denzel went one-on-ones on the goal line, that's a game rep.
But,
that's
Elijah
exactly
Moore knows he's not getting hit in that situation.
That's fine, but he's not going to get hit in the game technically because he's a wide receiver running around.
But he could hurt. He could get hit.
It was in the red zone. You're either going to catch it in the end zone or you ain't.
What? Somebody can't hit him the second he catches the ball?
Denzel can hit.
Right.
It's a one-on-one. First of all, they're man. That's not happening.
I'm not saying, like Tyvis, you have an educated eye when watching this stuff that a lot of the rest of us don't have. And so you could get some value out of it, I think, more than the average fan can or average media member can. And obviously it's meaningful to the players and the team.
Yeah.
But I think fans and people like me who are media members who didn't play football at any kind of high level, we're watching it and I think we make more of some of these things than they are. And this is across the country.
Well, I'll tell you. I was watching a clip of Elijah Moore as I was on my way up here today.
Yeah.
And he caught like a little swing pass, and they was like, "Oh my God, he looks unbelievable." And I'm just like, he literally got tagged off as soon as he caught the ball. Like, I don't understand.
Exactly.
He catches the ball. The nickel tags him off. He goes and does a cut like this, and I'm like, well, he would have been down in the backfield. So
exactly.
I was.
That's the point.
Yeah.
See,
that's where I'd be like, y'all got to cut it out.
That's all I'm saying. And this is no knock at Elijah Moore. Let me make it very clear. I'm very high on him, and I think he's got a ton of upside. I think there's a lot of potential and a lot to be excited about with him. I'm just very big on. I'm not going to dive into. I think you're great before we have any idea if you're great.
Well, I think Elijah Moore is a really good player. I think he'll have a great season. It's the fear, it's the unknown because we haven't seen it yet.
Right.
So anything looks good on practice. It's been so many times that things have looked so smooth and crisp in practice, and then it didn't translate to the game. And I think that us fans have seen that so much that, to me, I'm a little like, I got to see it on Sunday first before I can be all in. Once I see him do it in a game and make these plays, then we know what he is, we know what he can do.
He did not have a good reputation on his way out of New York.
No,
I can tell you that. There was a lot of people that are really sour on him. Now, is it a bad fit, bad situation, no quarterback to throw to? Yeah. Maybe it's as simple as that. And this rectifies all of it.
Right.
But he does not have a good reputation.
Well, he wasn't the featured guy.
And he was pissed. See, wasn't he the year before? Wasn't he their best receiver? They had just drafted him 35th overall or whatever.
But he started off slow, and then he got good.
And there was no quarterback. Zach Wilson was terrible.
Towards the end of the season, he started scoring and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then last year, he felt like he was featured out of the offense. He felt like the quarterback wasn't getting him the ball. Yeah. I remember him doing interviews like, I'm not getting – I don't know because I didn't get the ball. I think he said something like that. Like, I don't know what happened because I didn't get the ball or something like that. I think the Browns are catering to him and keeping him happy by making him be like kind of the focal point in the passing game. Period.
I don't know, man.
That's what it is. He's kind of like the guy in the passing game.
I still think Amari Cooper's the guy. I don't.
Oh, if you need a one-on-one route and we need a first down to happen, yes, Amari Cooper is the safety. Well, Amari Cooper is the safety blanket. But I think that this offense is featured a little bit around what Elijah Moore can do, and they're going to feature him by giving him the ball in the slot, having him do the motion thing in the backfield and throwing him swing passes. I think he'll get the ball in his hands more, and I think that's what's keeping him satisfied.
It's going to be very interesting at the beginning of the season. You know, we're going to talk about Jim Schwartz here in a minute. We talked about the defense not being where they want to be. Not surprising that Jim Schwartz would say that. Because so many of these coaches now, they're always like, oh, everything's going great. And Jim Schwartz is not that type of coach. But
it's August 1st, 2nd. It better not be where it should be. They just showed up.
There's a lot of new faces on the defense, including a new coach. And offense, it's a big change with going full bore into what Deshaun Watson does best, adding Elijah Moore to the mix, Nick Chubb out of the Kareem Hunt out of the mix. By the way, anybody heard a single rumor about Kareem Hunt?
No.
Is he out of the league? I mean, he's going to be out of the league.
I thought he was going to the Washington Commanders. Yeah.
I do got a point about, you all were talking about him, Elijah Moore getting lost with the New York Jets. And it reminded me of Denzel Mims. Denzel Mims was another wide receiver that was drafted in the second round by New York, who just got lost in the rotation. Another guy that was disgruntled and frustrated because he wasn't being able to be featured on the field. And then he ended up being traded this year. So I wonder how much of that.
Where is he? I mean,
he got traded to the Lions.
And he ain't going to do anything there either.
But I'm saying he didn't get the opportunity to. Here's another guy that was a second-round pick in 2020, and he never really saw the field. If you really look at it over the first two seasons, Him and Elijah Moore numbers is pretty similar. This was a guy that just for whatever reason they didn't put him out there and feature him. So I'm not saying like it's all on the quarterback on the organization. I just think it's a little bit of both.
How many plays was Elijah Moore on the field for? Like what percentage of the offense?
Oh, a lot.
So how was he not getting opportunities then?
He
was out there. Maybe he's the. Sometimes it's the receiver's fault they don't get the ball.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So you know how Jason would say that it's a lot of the times wide receivers are open, but we just didn't have a quarterback to get him the ball. Sure. I think that's what he's saying. Elijah Moore is saying.
Okay, well that's out the window this year.
Yes, my point. My point exactly.
That's it. So hopefully it'll all come together. Deshaun will get back to what the player he was, and Elijah Moore can reach the capabilities I think the Jets thought he had, and we hope he has. Let's move to the defense. Jim Schwartz.
And as always, don't forget to subscribe to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Also become a member of Overtime and hit that alert button to get the latest news from the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Jim Schwartz, fellas, take it away.
So Jim Schwartz, you got the quote? Do you have it? Do we have the audio of that or no?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Okay.
Get it.
Because, listen, I don't put much stock into what coaches say. They're not giving you the truth on anything.
Depends on the coach.
Fair. That's fair. But generally they talk in generalities.
Yeah.
Right? They don't want to give you a clue too much into what they're doing. They're all neurotic and uptight about the things getting out there. You look at what Jim Schwartz said yesterday, the DC, and what Alex Van Pelt said, the OC, very different, right? Schwartz kind of downplaying any kind of excitement about the defense, where Alex Van Pelt said, like, Watson looks great, and this guy looks great. And so it's an interesting way that they both look at it. Do we have the Schwartz clip, guys?
I haven't been to defensive. I haven't seen training camp practice.
Yeah.
You have. How was the defense when you was there? Because, we see a bunch of offensive clips.
In Greenbrier.
I thought they looked good. I thought the defense looked good.
Okay.
Like, they're flying around. And I said when I came back from Greenbrier, Denzel looked more engaged. And people who I'm not there every day. People who are there every day said he had a different tone about him at this camp, where sometimes he just seems to drift.
Well, he got a lot to prove.
I had heard. I don't know if this is true.
He got stuff.
And I'm not going to mention any details because I don't know if any of it's true. But I had heard that Denzel last year had a major off-the-field distraction, something personal in his life that contributed to him not having a good year. Do you know that to be true?
I heard the same thing.
Okay.
I heard the same
Maybe
thing.
I heard it from you. I think you
did hear it from me.
You might. You know what?
You did hear from me.
I think you might have just confirmed it because somebody else had told me something.
Okay.
Again, I'm not going to say what I've heard, but just that he had nothing criminal or anything like that, but just that he had a major off-field distraction, and hopefully that whatever that was is settled, and it'd be nice if that was not that he had a personal problem, but it'd be nice if we could just point to that as the reason he didn't have a great year. Because it was, especially the first half of the year, he was not good.
Yeah, he had ups and downs. He never played a full game last year. He had moments in the game. I remember the Chargers game. He started off the Chargers game lights out. He was making plays, and then by the end of the Chargers game, Mike Williams was dunking on him. So it was stuff like that. He never put together a complete game. And like I said, I talked to Denzel when I went to mini camp and I seen him. We had a conversation about it. And Denzel is locked in. He knows what's going on. He knows what he needs to do this season, and he's fully up for that task.
He admitted that he didn't have a good year last year? Did he admit that to you?
Yeah, he know.
I like that. I respect that.
And I told him, listen, Denzel, I said some things, but he said, Tyvis, I understand. He said, I know how it is. He said, he said he respect me because he know that I played the game, and he that it's out of love.
The Browns need him to be an elite corner this year.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They need him to lock it down.
I think they have two elite corners. I think Martin Emerson is really good.
I agree with Jason.
Really good.
A lot of people feel that way, actually.
I will say, I think he will be an elite corner.
A lot of people think that he's going to phase the other ones out.
I told G, I believe by the end of the season, he can probably be the best cornerback on the team. I really believe that.
He is a big, long dude.
All right. Well, listen, if he plays at an elite level, then he should be in good shape.
You know what the good thing about this is? He will be tested.
Yeah.
He
Very
will be
often.
tested.
If they come out in 11 personnel, he will be the one that they go after.
Yeah. And, I mean, they obviously like him enough that they took a very recent first-round pick and said, "You're going over here. We're putting him over there."
Yeah.
Like that. He's
Well, but they're going to be moving those guys all around.
Yeah,
no?
but he ain't going in the slot though. Now Denzel he will take some reps in the slot.
We've seen that.
But
We've seen
Martin
that at
has not. I don't think Martin has taken a rep in the slot.
I feel like in this NFL, the way it is now, to look at the slot corner as if he's not as good is stupid.
I
You're just
agree.
a different body type,
I agree.
right?
You
Like-
actually do more in the slot.
Yeah.
But you get paid the more.
Right.
It's two ways you can get paid. You can get paid from holding the guy like with under 100 yards and all of that, or you can get paid by getting takeaways.
Yeah.
I say you figure out which one you better at, and
Yeah.
you better be really good because Diggs will give up. He'll get bombed for 80,
Yeah.
but he'll get you 2 picks in the same game.
Yeah, that's true. But I look at Mike Hilton, who's a slot corner, as one of the best corners in football. Like, I think he's really, really good, but he's a slot corner.
But see, they look at it differently because if you don't know, so I'm gonna tell you.
Go ahead.
Playing in the slot and playing outside is 2 totally different worlds. I'm gonna tell you that, right? I know it sounds stupid,
No,
but
it's not.
being in here and being out there
have
is
more
2
help around
totally
you.
different.
You got a
feelings.
lot more help here.
Out there, you are truly by yourself.
I hear you.
And here, you might get a bump from a linebacker. It's
Right.
a lot of people in there. Out there, it's just you and him.
But as the slot corner, you have more responsibility in terms of the running game.
Yeah.
And that's a challenge that the outside corners
Well,
don't have to deal with.
according to Greg, they taking that responsibility away from him.
Yeah.
He doesn't have run game responsibility, which I think it's crazy.
And I expect-
that is baloney. He gonna be in the run game. I don't care
Yeah.
what he says. That's baloney. You have no choice.
Yeah.
Just tell them that so you buy
You have no. Put it to you this way: if they come out in 11 personnel, and it's center, guard, tackle, tight end. Okay, he won't be on that side. He'll be on the slot side. So say he's on the slot side. Tackle, guard, center. If they run the ball, we in the wide 9. They run the ball and they go up to B gap, meaning they go between the tackle and the guard.
Yep.
And the linebacker gets eaten up. He coming off and making this tackle. I don't care what he tells you. He 1,000% is coming from that slot, and he better come make that. If not, 88 not the game.
What is Jim Schwartz a yeller in camp?
Yes.
But he hasn't been.
Yes.
Oh.
He hasn't been. That's been interesting, and that was one thing that Zach pointed out because again, I was only there for the last couple of days.
Yeah.
And Zach Jackson was sort of watching for that, and he said he's been pretty quiet. And then there was one or two incidents on the last day that I was there where he was really getting into him, but for the most part, he was quiet.
You say he's a yeller. Is that from the past? Or?
I seen him in
or in minicamp.
Yeah, minicamp. But he had just gotten there. That was his first time.
Right,
Maybe
right.
they got an understanding of the defense now.
What was unique about Jim, I think I mentioned this on the show, you would know better than me, he's standing on the line of scrimmage watching, I've never seen a DC.
That's the best way to do it.
I've never seen a DC do that.
They still behind him?
Well, yeah.
You got to see. No, my
he's
coach
like,
in
looking
college
this
told
way.
me you got to
Yeah.
stand. You need to stand behind the receivers or the quarterbacks. You need to see
What's coming.
So you
Oh,
can see.
that's where he was standing?
Yeah, you got to sit behind the offense because usually the DC sits behind the safety in the
Right.
back there, or they sit on the
And
sideline.
so Schwartz
and call
stands
play.
behind the quarterback?
You got to sit behind. Yeah, you got to stand behind the offense because you need to see
Fascinating.
what everybody. So you can see their eyes. You can pick a person, look at their eyes, and
point.
look at their technique. So that if they come to you and be like, why didn't you look at the quarterback? So I didn't look at the quarterback. I was looking at my man. I looked you right in your face. I seen exactly what you were looking at. It makes you coach better.
But
if you can
I
see it.
wonder, is he, when he's standing behind the quarterback, is he looking at a different guy each play, or is he trying to scan as many faces as possible
Well, when
on
you
each play?
as a DC, you
Yeah.
have to see the whole flow of everything, which is tough. You know, position coach, you can hone in on your guys.
Sure.
As a DC, you got to look at the flow of the line, make sure that everybody
Right.
got the line right. Then you got to look at the linebackers and see and make sure that they got their reads and they flowing to where they need to go. Then you got to take it to where the second.
right, but you can't do all of that on one play, can you?
You have to.
Wow.
It's a very, very tough job.
Fascinating.
K Rich taught me that in Seattle because I asked that question. I was
Yeah.
a young kid and the rookie
Yeah.
in Seattle, and I'm like K Rich is the Chris Richard. He was defensive coordinator in Seattle, and I was like, K Rich, like when you as a DC, what are you looking at? He said, I got to look at the flow. He said, so I'm looking at the flow of the line, and then I take my eyes back to the linebackers. He said it's just like it's all in sync. You could just tell by the syncness. You'll see it real quick what you need to see. Boom. Then you take it and see what you need to see. Then you see where if they roll the coverage correctly.
Wow.
It's a trained eye.
Yeah,
The coaches have to have instincts too, right? Same as a player.
Yeah.
All right, so
Earl, what you got? You had something.
No, yeah, I had a question for Jason. You know, you struck a nerve with the MJ Emerson conversation. We know that last year he had a solid rookie year. Is it your opinion it was the game against the Buccaneers when he kind of shut down Mike Evans is when the Browns knew, okay, we might got a potential superstar here?
I think they knew before that. I'm trying to think. I'm terrible with game chronological. That was like around the midway point, wasn't it? Or was that earlier? When was that Bucs game?
I think that was Jacoby's last game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they knew before that. They knew before. And that he did have a great game.
I might say Martin Emerson jumped off the page in the preseason last year.
Like
didn't he have a pick or something like that? I think he had a pick
remember.
in the preseason. And like the first or second game.
They knew right away they've got something with him.
hey, we talked about last year that we going into last year when we knew the offense might struggle early in the season, we thought the secondary was going to be great, and the secondary wasn't great. No. But a lot of that. All that talent is still there, and probably even more because they upgraded at the one safety spot. The Browns secondary could be as good as any in the league.
It's because they're utilizing them to their strengths. You know,
hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no.
Jim Schwartz is a proven track record.
Yeah,
so yes.
He using them to his strength.
Right.
You don't have John Johnson, who's productive in the box, playing post safety, something that he's not really used to.
Right.
What you do, you go get a true post safety who's made plays, who's on a Super Bowl team making plays in the post.
Yeah.
You even see clips of him making plays in the post this year. So what that does is build the confidence for everybody else. Like, hey, I know I got a true post safety. Last year, I had to be a little skeptical. Maybe I can't sit on this dig route because if he gets behind me, it's gone. I have no help. But now that I got a true post safety back there, it gets behind me. I know Juan's going to be there for me at least. So it allows you to be just a tad bit more aggressive defensively from a DB standpoint. And then you got Genu, who, like I say, right now they say he's not involved in the run game. He didn't want to be in the run game as much. Which he's not saying he don't want to be in it. He just didn't want to do it all the time.
Oh, he don't want to be.
And apparently he was in the run game, which I know from playing in that scheme. You are in the run game. Right. You're responsible for that B gap, or you got to leverage the ball. But if he's going to be truly a man-to-man guy, which is something that he is, he's a true man-to-man press corner. Now is catering to his strength. So now we'll see this secondary get to do everything that they want to do, and they'll have that ability to make those plays. But I knew Martin Emerson was going to be a good player when they drafted him because he led the SEC and PBUs, pass breakups. And what that tells me is he knows how to play the football. So many times.
Good instincts.
Yeah, so many times that corners get out there and they either get beat off the line or that ball go up in the air and they get nervous. A lot of the times, it's like 80% of the time the DBs see that ball go up and they get nervous because it's like, oh my God, I got to make a play on the ball. But if he leads the league or he led the SEC and PBUs, that means when the ball goes up, he's calm. He knows that, hey, I'm gonna make the play. I got great ball skills. I can either knock it down, make it, or try to pick it off. So that goes a very long way.
He's so long and so much bigger than most corners.
Yeah, that's the new wave. You know who started that?
No.
Richard Kevin Sherman.
Who still has not been on this show.
Yeah, and I just talked to him 2 days ago.
Is he back from Mars?
No, he is. He's pondering the undisputed thing.
Oh, okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
he wants to work with Skip Bayless.
Pondering.
Put enough zeros on that.
That's why listen, Sherman is a guy. You put some money, you make the offer interesting. He would definitely look into it.
I want to ask you about Thornhill though before we move on. Do you think the change from JJ3 to Thornhill could be I would say the second biggest area of improvement behind I think the D tackles would probably be the most.
They still scare me.
The D tackles?
Yeah, they still scare
me. They only have one proven guy there.
I know, but that's one more than they had last year.
Why does it scare me?
Yeah. Well, no, we'll get to that in a second.
The Juan Thornhill one.
Yeah, the Juan Thornhill one. Do you think that would be then the biggest area of improvement from last year to this year? That one position.
Yeah, because there's so many times that playing in that post, you get anxious. You want to make the play, and it takes a true post safety to sit back there and know, like, I can't jump those things. Because, like I say, you see, for example, we'll talk about the game one against Carolina, and I don't know if it was I don't know who was in the post. I don't know if it was J3 or if it was Dale Pitt. But, for example, on the play that Robbie Anderson is running down the field. So when I drew it up, I told you that the corner and that safety to that side, so it was G-New and I don't remember who it was.
I don't remember.
But whatever it is, if he went 10 yards and went out, boom, he stays here and the corner stays with his and he takes the post. Anyways, they both jump it, which is, even if they did that, you should be fine because you have a post safety that's standing there anyways. You get anxious and want to look at other stuff. You're not truly in the post. What do they run? A post. You should be standing right there. It should be stealing.
Yeah.
But if you ain't in your spot, you ain't doing what you're supposed to do,
right.
Boom, it's a touchdown. So if you got a true post safety that knows that he got to keep his nose clean, stay out of it, and they don't need me until they need me. And when they need me, they freaking really, really need me. Like it's 1,000% I have to make the
doctor.
play. Yeah, they don't need – that's
right.
what they say. We don't need you until we need you. But when we need you, you need to make the play. And Juan Thornhill's a proven guy that if I'm not worried about coverage getting busted. If a coverage gets busted, I don't think, I ain't going to say it because I said it last year and I was wrong. I don't think that I'll be seeing a guy just running completely just by himself.
Right.
If he's truly in the post, at least somebody would be there to try to stop it.
And he's got that championship
Yeah,
DNA,
he's been there.
On a Super Bowl
He
team,
actually speaks it. You can tell the leadership that he already brings. Like I said, from the practice that I saw, he was very vocal. So that was a good thing. You see, when I look at the Browns second, it's a bunch of quiet guys.
Yeah.
Denzel's kind of
just
quiet.
Their roster in general is a lot of quiet guys.
So it's nice to have a guy that's kind of trash talking. Like I said, him and Marquise Goodwin was talking trash the entire practice, which is good because it turns me up.
But this Marquise Goodwin situation, very sad.
Yeah, it is.
This sucks.
I just had him on. He's in good spirits, though.
He's probably never going to play,
I
right?
think his career's over.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
Yeah.
He's in good spirits.
I'm rooting for him, man. This sucks. He seemed like such a nice guy when we had him on, and really sad that this is,
Real quick, why? I mean,
the D tackles.
Yeah, the D tackles.
Oh yeah.
Well, because to me, the scheme ain't that much different than what Joe Woods did. You still need your defensive tackles to take up two. You still need these guys to keep the linebackers clean. And if like Dalvin Tomlinson, okay, that's fine. Maybe he does, maybe he don't. I know a Bleacher Report came out and said he's one of the most overrated signings of the offseason. Whatever. But if the other guy, if they still getting blown off the ball, or if they can't keep them linebackers' jerseys clean, it's literally going to be the exact same thing from last year where they get just run it straight down the middle.
They should be better there.
We thought that would be the case, but the thing is, they only got one guy.
Right. Well,
now, I'm counting on that rookie from Baylor, Ika.
Ika.
See, I'm hoping that Maurice Hurst can stay healthy. Because
me too.
That guy was really good his first 2 years in San Francisco. Really good.
But my thing with Ika is, if they run it, okay, so I don't think we'll see a lot of zone. When I say zone, I mean that the running backs, that's when they run the stretch play, and the running back's going to take it as far as he can, create some lanes, let people over pursue, and then boom, he gets vertical.
Cut back.
Well, with the wide nine, that's dead because the DN should be outside. So there's no way that you're getting outside this DN. So boom, he got to cut it back immediately, which means that the linebackers and the defensive tackle should be there. If that defensive tackle don't keep that linebacker clean and they get to that next level, that guard pushes up and goes to that next level and get that linebacker, it's out of the gate.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I think it's a big if because he's missed the last 2 years. But I think if Hurst is healthy, he's going to start because he has played in the league and he has played at a high level on a very good 49er defense.
Well, they speak very highly of him. And the only thing I like Ika because of his size, but it's football is becoming a more lateral game, and if he ain't laterally, so if he's in his stance, right, and they did decide to run zone, that means his lateral movement, he got to hurry up and get all the way over here to stop his goal. And that's my point. That's exactly my point.
As my son AJ said, he is naturally bigger.
That's exactly my point right there.
You trying to say he's fat?
And the question is, if they can hold up front, are the linebackers good enough to finish off the play?
I feel like they are because like I say, I know Anthony Walker's a pretty solid tackler, so I'm not worried about him. JOK, I think if he shoots his gap and he don't stop, listen, you know why I'm confident? I'm gonna tell you why I'm confident. Because DeQuail Jackson, has been around the program. Listen, he's been around the program I don't know if he's officially taking it or whatever the case may be.
Is it official? Is it public or?
I don't know
say
what.
it?
I don't know, but he's been around the program. So as much as DeQuell,
don't
if
even
JOK ain't better this year, I'm holding DeQuell Jackson responsible for everything he said
What's that?
on this show.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, he had
DeQuell been with us.
Yeah. Well, we just said something about it.
He had
so.
quite a few things to say.
No, he was around in practice and mini camp. I don't know
All right,
what he did
DeQuell's
after
around
that.
the team a little bit right now. So, anyway, all right, let's get to Alex Van Pelt. Do we have his comments or no?
As always, don't forget to subscribe to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Ring that alert bell to stay in the date with the latest news. And yeah, we do have Alex Van Pelt comments. Steve, you can take those. This was him on Elijah more than the rest of the wide receiver group.
Do a lot of things. Very skilled receiver, inside, outside, can do stuff out of the backfield. That was impressive to see. For a rookie, I thought Cedric had a really good camp, coming in and learning the system, putting all the pieces together. Had some mistakes, but really made some plays on the ball, which is good to see. Dalen Baldwin's Mr. Reliable. He's out there. He can play him in multiple positions. So those young guys got a lot of good reps and did some good stuff.
Alex, how do you?
Who the hell Dalen Baldwin, by the way?
Is that the dude that y'all been talking about, or is
No.
it Darden?
Darden. Jalen Darden is one that.
That's the one that I'm on Thursday. Oh, I'm right there.
None
I
of
didn't
these random
see this
dudes
kid.
at wide receiver are going to make the team.
Well, there's a spot that opened with Marquise Goodwin. There's a spot open.
And we don't got no burner.
Wait a second. You got Tillman and Bell. You saying Bell might not make the team?
No, I think Bell will make the team. It's Cooper. Go in order.
You got
Moore,
DPJ,
Cooper, Moore.
Tillman, Bell.
Tillman, Bell.
That's 5. Who are we forgetting?
Darden.
I think there's a
So
chance
one of these
guys.
one of these undrafteds.
Anthony
What about that
Schwartz.
Mike Harley?
He just got a
kid?
didn't he get a concussion or he got a
he
hamstring?
played last. Wait, what was he? He was a late round pick last year, right?
Yeah.
Or was he an undrafted last year? I
We'll
don't remember.
find out.
I think that there's.
It
one
looks like
spot
there is
for
one
someone to
spot.
slide
We'll
into.
find out in more than 24 hours tomorrow.
Tomorrow's the first. It's so weird that they're playing a preseason game.
I know.
I know it's the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah.
But it is weird. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel like we're ready to see games yet. But
We'll see.
here we are.
We'll see who's in high regard because whoever jogs out there with that first team, like that speaks.
Those are guys who have a legitimate shot of making
I
the
believe
roster
So yeah, because you let the later guys or the younger guys play.
right at the end.
Yeah.
Do we think anybody of note is going to play tomorrow?
No.
Right.
Cedric
Probably
Tillman
not.
is probably the only person that
The great Zach Wilson's probably going to play tomorrow.
he's starting. They already announced it. He's starting.
Guy went from
it's
what,
gonna
the
be-
second
I think
overall?
it's Kellen Mond versus Zach Wilson.
Oh, did you guys see? I texted you guys this Instagram. Oh, we got to play this. Did you see that Instagram post I texted?
When did you text him?
Oh, why are you
On
doing
Baker?
that? Yeah, I saw
I
that.
didn't see
I
it.
saw.
Where were
Why
you
are
guys
wasting
on this?
time on that?
Yeah, I seen that.
It's
That's old. I think that
12:45.
was like from the beginning of the year.
That
Somebody
was
just
so
remixed it.
funny.
It was funny.
It was an
What did he-
Instagram post with like funny music with Baker and who's the other slappy? Kyle Trask.
Yeah, Kyle
Yeah.
Trask.
Making bad throws in practice. It was really funny.
They got-
Oh,
it's a
man.
mess.
Baker, good luck battling Kyle Trask for that job in Tampa Bay, buddy. Good luck.
He should win
Wishing
that.
you all the best.
I tell you what, Baker got the. If they don't drop the ball like they did.
At least he's got good
last year.
receivers.
He got good receivers.
Yeah. He's got no running game, but he's got good receivers.
They
Good
play-
luck.
Bet you ain't gonna take them in fantasy though. I
What's
bet
that?
you ain't taking none
Oh!
of the Tampa Bay wide receivers in fantasy though.
You're not going to take them?
Nah,
I wouldn't.
He got a history. He got a DJ Moore didn't do well. Odell didn't do well.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have lost their value. I mean, you take them at some point, maybe, but I don't like to. I said this yesterday when we were doing our overtime segment. I don't like taking wide receivers on bad offenses because they're never trustworthy.
Well, they say everybody I talked to, if I asked them if they could have the first pick of the draft, who
Yeah.
would they take? And it's been a consensus: Justin Jefferson.
Well, in a 2-quarterback league, though, I would take a quarter. I'd take Patrick Mahomes.
They said
Our
taking
league is 2
Justin
quarterbacks.
Jefferson, and I said
Yeah, Jefferson in a traditional
Jay
fantasy league,
Jettas.
he's the first pick,
take
which
him
is rare because it's almost always been a running back.
Exactly.
I have the entire athletic fantasy team working behind the scenes for me.
That
to-
didn't help you beat me last year. Go ahead,
question.
Earl.
Got to the
I do got a question. So another thing that Alex Van Pelt talked about, he
Yeah.
kind of raved about the steps forward that offensive tackle James Hudson has taken, and we know he's a guy that's a depth guy, but due to injury or something else, he might be called on to step in. Is there any confidence that James Hudson is starting to develop into a serviceable offensive tackle?
I've seen him get cooked by the Steelers twice in
Yeah.
Pittsburgh the last 2 years. Until that doesn't
Who
happen,
got cooked by the Steelers?
James Hudson.
James Hudson. 2 years in a row.
You got faith in
cooked
him?
Pittsburgh.
I mean, it's hard to.
Until Pittsburgh don't cook him.
In fairness to
It's T.J. Watt, though.
in fairness,
That's the standard.
in fairness to James Hudson,
I mean, he cooks a lot of people.
guys. In fairness to James Hudson and in fairness to the Browns, how many people are confident in their backup offensive linemen? Like,
None.
I mean, there's not a lot of teams that have 5 good
There's
good
a
offensive
reason.
linemen.
There's a reason Jack Conklin just got a 4-year extension
Right.
when he can't even get in the stands.
Exactly.
These guys are hard to find.
I wouldn't listen. You always want your starting offensive lineman out there. And the Browns' problem in their offensive line the last couple of years has been injuries.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we all make fun of Jet at times. I was cracking
He's
up.
fine.
I was cracking up at practice watching him do 4 leg lifts and then
Yeah.
quit during stretching, and then take. It was an adventure watching
He's
him.
an
stretch.
adequate
But if
player.
he goes down,
Yeah.
you're in trouble.
He is an adequate player, and his bad moments are standout bad.
Yes, they are.
He's an adequate offensive lineman. You agree or disagree?
I agree.
Jedrick, right? You got Batonio is the best. The center position was very good last
Very
year.
good.
Ethan Poche.
Teller
He is the human eclipse. Ethan Posick.
Yeah.
Man is huge.
Teller is really good. Not as good as
I feel
Batonio.
like he might have been with
But-
me in Seattle.
But they do have a lot of, like that right side you worry about with Teller and Conklin in terms of injuries. If their line is fully healthy, it should be very good. It should be an elite offensive line.
Well,
But you do worry about injuries.
They
with
need
there.
DeJuan to step up, which I'll be watching him. I'll be watching all my.
Speaking of a large human being,
I'll be watching all my DeJuan, Ronnie Hickman, Tanner McAllister, Tommy Togiai.
Based on West Virginia, if you're counting on DeJuan
Tommy
Jones
Togiai,
this year, you're in
jeez,
trouble.
he stinks.
the Buckeye. Go
What
Buck.
about what's his name that the Bengals drafted in the first round? Really, their only bad draft pick. in the
Billy
last few years.
Price?
He's awful.
He just he was signed with the Saints, and then I think he had to get surgery, so they released him.
He stinks. He's awful.
He's a great guy.
No offense to him, might be a nice guy. But
Great guy.
Shouldn't have been a first round pick. Do you believe Tim Tebow was drafted in the first round?
Why?
Do you think?
the Heisman winner? Why?
Do
Oh
you
my
think-
God, that's unbelievable. He went first round.
You know he doesn't know how to throw the football, right?
Talk about the guy that won the Heisman.
Yeah, that's college. Who cares?
Why is it so crazy that he
Was
went
Josh
first round?
McDaniel?
Danny Warfel won the Heisman.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think Josh McDaniel was doing coke or heroin when he drafted Tim Tebow in the first round?
I think he wanted a winner.
Oh, please, give me a break.
I think he wanted a winner, and he.
Ken
bought
Dorsey
it.
was a winner. He didn't go in the
Most
first
of the
round.
great college quarterbacks are not good in the NFL.
Is that true? You know what? I'm about to make a bold take here. It has nothing to do with anything, but I'm gonna say it anyways. I think C.J. Stroud is gonna have the best NFL career out of Ohio State quarterbacks.
That's
to
a
this,
really high
to,
bar.
to
isn't
this
it?
point.
He's going to surpass Mike Tomczak.
this
Finally,
point.
he's
Yeah,
the
to this
one.
point.
It is
Why?
amazing
because,
as good a
because he
program
didn't win the big games in college. He saved it for the NFL.
Okay.
All right, here we
I
go.
said that. Yep. Go Bucks.
Here are the top 10 passing leaders in the history of college football. You ready?
Ty Detmer's on there, right? Isn't he?
Number 1. You know who number 1 is?
Top passers of all time
Yeah.
in college.
It's probably dudes from like
Bailey
Is this,
Zappi.
is this 1 year? No, passing year career leaders.
Bailey Zappi.
No. The number 1 guy all time is a former Browns quarterback, backup, mostly.
Backup?
Recent, somewhat recent, pretty recent.
Wasn't it Timmy Chang at one time?
Timmy Chang is number 2 all time.
Yeah, okay.
What?
Case Keenum.
Oh.
Number
Yeah,
2
I
is
remember.
Timmy
He
Chang.
was at Houston, right? Keenum was at Houston.
Number 3 is the great Landry Jones. Number 4, one of my all-time favorites, Graham Harrell.
Texas Tech.
Number 5, Ty Detmer. Somebody mentioned him.
BYU,
Number
yeah.
6, Kellen Moore. Number 7, Baker
Boise State.
Mayfield.
Oklahoma.
Number 8, Luke Falk.
Never
Number
heard of
9, Colt Brennan.
Hawaii.
Number 10, Rakeem Cato. Never even heard of that guy.
Don't know him.
Number 11, Holton Athlers. Sounds like a made-up name. Number 12, the great Gazoo, Mason Rudolph. Number 13,
believe Rudolph's
Sean
12.
Mannion.
That is crazy.
Number 14, Brett Rippon. Finally, at number 15, we find a guy who was good in the NFL. Finally. Phillip Rivers at 15.
But he never
Phillip Rivers.
Somebody told me that's who Justin Herbert is going to be. Phillip Rivers.
The only good quarterbacks in the top 36 all time in passing are Phillip Rivers at 15 and Derek Carr at 24. Everybody else in the top 35 are trash or backups. Throwing for a ton of yards in college doesn't prove anything.
Bailey Zappi threw for a ton of yards, and he beat us.
He's 5. He's shorter than me.
Let's not get nuts.
What that mean?
Let's not get
you
nuts.
need to cut that out.
I'm telling you.
Nobody's shorter than you.
Bailey Zappi.
Nobody's shorter than me.
I'm not shorter than you.
Yes, you are.
Am I shorter than you?
Yes.
There's no way.
I think we're the same height.
That's a shame.
I think we're the same height.
That's a shame.
All right, Earl. What do you got for us?
Final takes.
Did y'all
we haven't
ever
done final takes in
Did y'all
forever.
ever have women that wouldn't date y'all because of your height?
No. I got so much Riz.
Jason thinks he's the biggest stud ever.
Oh my goodness.
My God.
My final take today, which I have not done in a long time, and I'm gonna make it up as I go, but it has to do with the Cleveland Browns and particularly the rookie class. So it's a lot of, especially my Buckeye brothers. I mean, it's a lot of undrafted guys there. You know, like I say, Ronnie Hickman, Tanner McAllister. You got Luke Whippler, who went late in the draft, who everybody said he made a mistake, but that's neither here nor there. Listen, it doesn't matter if you went first round, third round, last round, no round. You know, you're getting blessed with an opportunity to play this game, and you better take it so seriously, especially the undrafted guys. You know, they trying to phase out the kickoff game and stuff like that. But guess what? Guess what they could do in the preseason? Oh, they going to return them balls because they are trying to make the team as well. So you guys better find a way to get on that special teams and stand out, make some plays. Make sure that you're doing all the little things. Make sure your body is taken care of. Make sure you know that playbook inside and out. And make sure when it comes time to make those plays, that you make the plays. You are in the NFL for a reason. Make sure you solidify yourself and make sure you stay. Don't let this moment come and pass you by, because I promise you, it's not going to come as many times as you think. This might be your only opportunity. This might be your only game in the NFL. And if that's the case, you better go out like Tony Montana and go out shooting. So make sure you have fun, enjoy, make sure you are prepared, because proper preparation prevents poor performance every single time. And when you get that opportunity, make sure you let your light shine.
Proper preparation prevents poor performance. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
You like that, didn't you?
That was
Proper
good.
preparation prevents piss poor performance.
Poor performance. Get a couple more peas in there.
Mm-hmm.
By the way,
Speaking of pee, I got to pee.
Did you guys know that
Did
you guys know that Kellen Mond is starting for the Browns tomorrow?
Yeah.
I just
Where have you
said
been?
that. I
was
said
announced-
it's Kellen Mond versus Zach Wilson.
It was announced yesterday.
I just pulled the Dustin
you all
Fox
right?
right there.
Keep up.
Go ahead.
I
Go
got
ahead, Jason.
I got a piece. This will be quick. I didn't get my pre-show bathroom break yet, and Tyvis is cracking up.
Yeah.
At 11:02, did you go? I'm like, nope.
Yeah, it's what you get for walking in late.
If you are a seam head like Bull and I, you probably already know this, but there's a really fun game out, Immaculate Grid.
I haven't done
And
it
I've
today.
never gotten a perfect 9 out of 9.
Oh, really?
No.
Seam
I think
game.
I've got like CTE or something, because I can't remember things that I used to remember on who played with what. And now they've got it for, if you go to ImmaculateGrid.com, free
Yeah.
plug for them. They've got it for baseball. They've got it for men's basketball, NBA,
Yeah.
football, and hockey.
The football is so hard because you really only remember, and first of all, careers are not as long.
Right.
I can get like the column where it's like 1,000-yard receiver.
Yeah.
But when unless it's like the Browns or the Bengals, I don't remember the random dudes on some of these other teams.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. NBA today, 5+ assists per game for a season from the Warriors, the Bulls, and the Bucks. Just
Yeah.
go there and look it up. It's the
fun.
new Wordle as far as I'm concerned. I don't really play Wordle much anymore. But the baseball one annoys me because I've missed on some that I thought were like slam dunk. Oh, I
Yeah.
know that, and they were wrong. And I'm like, oh, and then I get mad and throw my phone down, and then I won't.
Well, because
finish.
once you get one wrong, you
I'm
can't
done.
get the
Yeah.
perfect thing.
Then I
and
get pissed, and then I
Yeah.
just won't finish it.
Yeah.
But for as much as Bull and I love baseball, and anyone else who loves it,
I'm so
ImmaculateGrid.com.
sorry.
What happened?
Oh my God, y'all gotta check your phone. This man, listen, put the camera on me, Steve.
Yeah, go ahead.
Put the camera on me, cause
Do this.
Hold on, look, put the camera on me. Listen, DeQuail.
Damn.
Who do you think you talking to? All right, I ain't ashamed. Listen, I ain't ashamed to show my hairline, baby, because I got some topics in my hair, so it look good. You just mad because I'm still holding on and you have let go of the rope. Okay?
The text from Steve Becker via DeQuell. Tell Tyvis to take his hat off and let me see his hairline.
Bro,
It's good that DeQuell's still watching.
Forget DeQuell.
We appreciate that. We appreciate that. Jason? Oh, you did your
Immaculate Grid.
I was unprepared for a final take. When is the last time we actually did final takes?
It's been a while.
Today.
Have you done any when I was off?
No.
Yeah,
Maybe
we did one the other day.
twice.
I was talking about the cost of youth sports and how outrageous it is.
All right. So here's the thing. August the 8th is a special election being done here in the state of Ohio. The Secretary of State embarrassingly sent out an email telling people the wrong date and that today was the day of the election. The actual special election is August the 8th. There's a lot on the line in this election. It's called Issue 1. And what the powers that be of the state of Ohio are trying to do is take away your rights as an Ohioan. Right now, if you get enough signatures, regular people like us can get a measure put on the ballot that we can vote on, and if 50% plus one vote for it, then it passes. Our state house right now is trying to change the law. Last year they changed the law to say you can't have special elections in August because it was costing the state too much money. But because they want to change the law, they've now added a special election in August. And this election is to, instead of making it majority rule by us the people and not the politicians, they're trying to change it to 60%, which is why it's imperative that everybody should vote no on Issue 1. It is absolutely imperative. If you want your freedom as a regular citizen, don't listen to the propaganda and Hazarai all being thrown out there. This is all about rights as people and majority rule. Don't let them take away our right for 50% plus one to be what the majority wants and what should happen. Vote no on Issue 1 on Tuesday next week. And it's not today, the election. It's Tuesday next week, August the 8th. Thank you. Earl, final thought?
Just rest in peace to my friend Tremaine, who was murdered actually around the corner from our studio a week ago. His funeral is this upcoming Saturday. So just want to let him know. The last time we talked was on the 4th of July. Took a picture, and he told me he was real proud of the things that I was doing because of where we come from and seeing where I'm at now. So just prayers and condolences to his family. Just want them to know that I'm thinking about you, and man, rest in heaven.
Well, that's awful. Sorry to hear that, Earl. On a much lighter note, Cooper Kupp, did you see he got hurt again already?
Yeah.
Hamstring.
He's probably going to miss the beginning of the season.
They said he was going to miss scrimmage time, but
He'll be, if it's a hamstring, unless it tore the thing in half, he should be back.
Yeah.
It's August 2nd.
Apparently, by the way, the Browns-Bengals line for week 1 is off the board right now and will remain off the board until Burrow's injury. Apparently, Burrow has been the last 2 days getting treatment and walking in the locker room without.
He'll be fine.
He has a sleeve on his.
he ain't playing
leg.
week 1.
You don't think he's playing week 1?
Nope.
Really?
Nope.
Wow.
Week 2.
Week 2? What makes you say that?
Because the Browns going to get after him in week 1.
So you think they're going to sit him out to avoid the Browns?
Yep. Sure do.
That's a bold statement.
I said earlier, the Bengals don't care about week 1. Bengals don't care. That's
what I'm saying.
They don't care about week 1.
Why would I
point.
put my quarterback in harm's way? They've been getting after us. Why would I put my quarterback in
Bold
harm's
statement.
way?
I want to follow up on that, but we're out of time. Overtime free to everybody next.